medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Attention Omaha parents, if you're looking for a fun, safe, affordable summer camp experience for your kids, look no further than Camp Croc. Located at Croc Center, Omaha, just off of Kennedy Freeway and Q Street, Camp Croc runs weekdays from the end of May through August 9th. Kids ages 6 through 12 will enjoy all kinds of activities, from sports and character building to swimming and STEM projects. Plus, breakfast, lunch, and snacks are included. For more details, go to omahacroc.org. That's omahakroc.org.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say, there's a lot to do this season in Nebraska's outdoors. There's always hiking in the state parks. There's bird watching. There's trout stream fishing. There's scouting for that spring wild turkey hunting trip. And there's looking for shed deer antlers in your favorite woods. So there's no reason to be a couch potato, is there? No. Get outdoors and enjoy. And that'll wrap it up. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
What should we do with the broke propeller? What should we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
I believe every child can succeed. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Research shows that children do a better job in school when parents are supportive. In Nebraska, parents have a long tradition of being involved in our public schools. That's one reason our students consistently score in the top 10 on national tests. Working together, we can help every child succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Do you like to shoot fireworks? Would you like to get paid to shoot fireworks? J&M Displays wants you. Help shoot an Omaha Storm Chasers game, Memorial Park display, or any of the major shows in Western Iowa and all of Nebraska. If you like to travel, J&M covers Nebraska, Kansas, and most of Missouri. They offer free training and great daily pay rates, which makes it a perfect part-time job. Visit jnmdisplays.com and click the Join Our Team tab to find out more. J&M Fireworks.
Ah, spring in Nebraska. The birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and the helmets are cracking. It's spring, and in Nebraska, that means football. Head to Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill at 173rd and Center today for our 1620 The Zone spring game lunch. The Connor Happer Show and Sportsmanlike Conduct are broadcasting live all show long, and at noon, all of our hosts will be together for a 1620 The Zone roundtable unlike anything you've heard before. It's spring game week at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill with 1620 The Zone.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
1620 The Zone.
The Heisman Trust is proud to announce the winner of the 2005 Heisman Memorial Trophy. The winner is Reggie Bush of USA.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
So that song's going to be in my head now the entire day. That's one of those fight songs that will not leave your
I'll
head.
be doing that when Caleb Williams' name is announced tonight.
That's right. Big day for you. Big day for everybody. This is one of the bigger sports days of the year because we're having a roundtable.
That's true.
There's
a round table
at a square table at Oscars today coming up at noon. All five of us will be on the air, but from 10 to 6, they'll be live out there. So it just signifies it's the best day of the year. It's the best day of the year for Sonny Weaver.
Yeah.
But it is
Vontae Mack, no matter what.
It is. Well, I just noticed you're geared out in all the Bears stuff.
We got two first-round picks, buddy. This is rare.
I'm hoping for you that 75 years of futility at quarterback is fixed tonight for your team.
And then to sneak it all in of the excitement of draft day, now you have this new stadium proposal on the lakefront that, from what I'm gauging,
Nick wants climate control.
Is pretty. But the good folks of Chicago and Clark County are not happy about the taxes.
Yeah, they're asking for $2 billion.
After they're still paying off the 2001 spaceship renovation too. So
surprised they're not paying off.
It's coming with mixed results. For someone who doesn't have to pay taxes on that particular project, I don't mind watching a game indoors in December and being in a lakefront, not the burbs, but it's not my money either.
All I can think about when they were announcing that, first of all, it looks exactly like Vegas.
Yeah.
The stadium looks exactly like Vegas. That's very unique of Kevin Warren to do that. Did you watch their presser yesterday?
Bits and pieces of it.
Okay, did you see the beginning?
No.
So at the beginning is like the thing that people are talking about. They began with a prayer.
Of course they did. How SEC of them.
We
were talking about the Bears.
Very, very odd.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another thing I thought of as they were unveiling this. Now it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's not a retractable roof. It's kind of like, it looks like, first of all, it looks exactly like Vegas, but the roof looks like SoFi, that transluent or whatever they call it.
Translucent.
Translucent. That's a good word.
Yep.
Man, I butchered that thing.
And they've got the open, I don't know if it's a window or the open air that actually sees the skyline.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's exactly like Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, look at a side-by-side comparison, which is not bad, but
even as a Raiders
let's
logo,
be a little bit
creative,
a little bit original here.
Cut
the
and
other thing I
paste.
thought about is the congestion
Yes.
in that area.
Well,
what a friggin' mess that will be. It's not like it's already like hunky-dory
No.
down there by the waterfront, and they're going to do that.
We backed up to Iowa.
They're going to play at Soldier Field while this thing is being constructed. That is going to take away any other parking that you possibly have there, too. So what is very little parking available around the stadium will now become nothing.
I would just stay home.
But again, I'm far away from the project. I'll just sit back and I'll just enjoy and then tell me when it's ready.
So good luck to you, Dave. Good luck to everybody. This is a mock draft, mockers dream. You know,
I'll just be mocking it.
At 7:00 tonight, their dream and their industry, they now move on to 25. Like I always wonder about people that their livelihood is the mock draft.
Al Kuiper.
Like, is their whole life a mock? Like, do they have a mock girlfriend? Do they have mock kids?
Girlfriend bracket?
Did they move on when they were a kid? They had imaginary friends. Now they've moved on to being in the mock draft world, and so they just have a mock family.
Yeah, I think that's conceivable. Actually, it would be
conceivable. I see what you did there.
It'd be quite the life to live. But it's kind of like accountants after April 15th. I always wonder what they do after today. Well, after this weekend, once it's over, do you take a vacation? Do you sit there and just, I don't know, just you're in a room of emptiness and you collect your thoughts and you evaluate your life? I don't know. I don't know what they do.
So this is
sounds like my day.
You know, as the draft begins tonight in Detroit, which I'm already trying to think, you know, David Pearson trolled the Eagles fans. David Akers turned around and trolled the Cowboy fans. Who will the Lions have on day 2 or day 3? Who will troll either the Bears or the Packers?
Eric Hipple, of course.
The Vikings. What are the Lions' chief rival is the Bears, correct?
Yeah, because
more than the Packers.
Yeah, I think so.
Look,
yeah.
Everybody can hate the Packers, though, right? Isn't that something?
Yeah,
where
I mean that's the
common
link in the North is that everybody hates the Packers, but I would still lean towards the Bears when it comes to the Lions. Yeah.
You know, everybody judges a draft off a quarterback class. I mean, look at the quarterback class from a couple of years ago. Nearly everyone has been traded. And this year you could have a run, and you will have a run of 3 bam, bam, bam quarterbacks. You could have possibly 6 go. So that's how we'll judge if this class is any good. But I always caution this. I would love to be in a draft room.
I just want to shake hands with everyone when they make the pick.
It's I would love to hear the conversation. Like I get kind of, I get a little sentimental when I hear the calls to prospects. Like Deuce Vaughn got drafted by the Cowboys last year, and his dad works for the Cowboys, so he made the call.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay. I like hearing, when the GM calls and then the head coach is calling, and they're talking on the phone and you can't hear anything, and then they put the phone down and they get picked. That's all kind of cool. And this is an incredible day for all of these young men and families to go through this. And it's become such an industry that there is a lot of manufactured drama, but we watch.
Oh, yeah.
There will be record ratings for the NFL draft over the next 3 days, but everything is about the quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks, it's about a 50% hit rate on if they're going to pan out to be multi-year starters, maybe even a Pro Bowl, maybe even win a Super Bowl, or there's going to be half of those guys that are Zach Wilsons of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Go second overall, and they're already on to their next city. But I always like I think we miss out on something. We talk about quarterbacks and being drafted is it's more on not when they're picked, but where they're going. Like I think your team is set up to have a rookie quarterback at least keep his head above water. I think Minnesota is set up really well to have a rookie quarterback come in when you look at the pass catchers they have on that roster. There are some places like Bryce Young where he was going, they were not set up to have Bryce Young be successful in his first year, where in turn, C.J. Stroud goes to Houston and the infrastructure they have there, they're set up to do pretty well, just like Mahomes to Kansas City, whether it be the head coach, general manager, or what you have on the roster around them. Yeah, I think it's more to focus on where they go, the city, the team, than when they go in the draft.
Yeah,
because half these guys, half these 6, they're not going to pan out. And which 3 will it be, and how will that impact the franchise?
And
for a long time,
this is going back a couple of years ago when Justin Fields was drafted. I think the euphoria of Chicago getting a quarterback that looked the part, that this wasn't the Mitchell Trubisky pick. This was someone who was a well-accomplished quarterback in college, had more than 13 starts in college. And that alone made myself, and I know a lot of Chicago Bears fans, overlook the fact that he wasn't going into a great situation. If you think about where Matt Nagy was in his tenure there, and Ryan Pace, you were going into a desperate situation for that group of guys right there. And then you looked around them to throw to. Right? Well, you got Darnell Mooney. Allen Robinson isn't going to be there. And your offensive line is creaky.
Galt.
Oh, I love Willie Galt. Track speed.
Nice. Tom
Dennis
Waddle.
McKinnon.
Yes.
Tom Waddle's great. Tom Waddle.
Front office hasn't done a good job of retaining those guys.
Yeah.
Still has a concussion from the 91 wildcard game.
He's great on the radio, though. So when he was put in, and again by desperation, because remember, they got Andy Dalton that year thinking, hey, he'll be the good bridge guy. They, in a way, and you knew what Matt Nagy was trying to do. He's trying to use the example in Kansas City when he was there of you've got Alex Smith, Mahomes going to learn under him. Well, we got Andy Dalton. I know, but he's going to learn under him. He doesn't have to have the weight of the world on him that first year. And hopefully in that time, the organization can add more resources available for him. Well, they got desperate because they were losing games. They were hearing the calls from everyone saying, play the kid. And they did. He wasn't prepared. He had no help whatsoever. I don't know what's going to happen to Justin Fields. I do look at Caleb Williams this time around. This is where I appreciate what Ryan Poles has done. This is where I look at what they've done in the last 2 years now, trying to build the offensive line. You can't control injuries all the time. But also, you get DJ Moore a year ago. You got Keenan Allen. I like Cole Kmet a lot. You've got some guys, and I would be shocked if they go through this draft with limited picks without adding another weapon there. So I feel like Caleb Williams is going into a better situation. The only thing that makes me nervous is when you look at Eberflus, who was retained a year ago. If it doesn't go well, does Caleb Williams have to look at his second year under a new head coach who's going to bring in his own people as well? So there's that part of it, but at least on the roster, it's in better shape than it was when Justin Fields was forced into action.
Josh is already dropping a bomb on you. Good morning, Josh. I think if this is the Josh that I know, I will see you tonight at the draft party. He said, I can't wait for the Bears to draft Caleb Williams and lose to the Packers twice this season. There'll be a lot of teams losing to the Packers this season.
Yep.
Now, here's a little thing for Husker fans. Okay, because Nebraska won't have a first-round draft pick. They will not have a first-round draft pick until the 2027 draft, when they'll have a quarterback go in the first round.
But enough about Danny Kaelin.
Oh,
wait,
well,
what?
you guys were like, whoa, what? Are you doing the math in your head?
Yeah.
I just realized, wow, 2027. It's already that.
Enjoy them while you have them.
Yeah.
So, well, that's 2027 will be an interesting draft. If things are the way they're supposed to be, 2027 will be a big draft day on this radio station.
On 101.9 The Zone.
But the other thing, I just, you're fearful as a Nebraska football fan. No first round pick, 2011, long time ago, is you go, oh, please, all the Ohio State guys get drafted. Don't show the Nebraska game. Please don't show the Nebraska game. Please. J.J. McCarthy and all of the scuttlebutt around him. There's two things. You will see probably quite a few plays against Nebraska. And I'm imagining, because his girlfriend will be in the green room with him, you will see the kiss heard and seen around Memorial Stadium when Michigan beat Nebraska. So I'm couching for Nebraska fan just to anticipate a couple of things are going to happen here over the course of this evening in the NFL draft.
And it's not always highlights, too. Remember in the COVID draft when Trey Wingo led off
by the COVID draft when Roger Goodell became likable?
Yeah, when he was in his study.
He was
likable. He was in his basement. And, there were a lot of weird things with that. But remember, they asked when they were talking about Joe Burrow, it was right out of the gate that Trey Wingo had brought up
that was ridiculous.
About Scott Frost saying between Joe Burrow and what they had on the roster, is he better than what we have? And there was an emphatic, yes, he is, not putting into the context of where Joe Burrow was in his career in Nebraska and where they thought that they were with their quarterback situation. It was just very funny that it didn't even go 2 minutes into the draft that Nebraska was getting shade thrown on them because they passed on Joe Burrow. So we're like, it's going to be that kind of night. So those are the things we get to look forward to on draft night when it comes to Nebraska. You're right. Either Ohio State highlights already have seen every time they show J.J. McCarthy, the rollout touchdown pass in the Nebraska game. That's shown on repeat every time they bring up J.J. McCarthy.
Last night, downtown.
Late night.
Nice night for baseball. Yeah, we were all there.
Yeah.
Creighton rallied in the 10th inning after rallying in the 8th to sweep Coastal Carolina with a victory and continue the confusion that is Creighton baseball at 30-9.
Yep.
And their RPI is still at 41.
At least it went up 8 as opposed to yesterday, where I think it only went up 2 spots.
But impressive back-to-back nights. And a team that is, I don't know, I think because you look at their RPI, you go, who are they? We've done this. Like, who is Creighton? So they're definitely a sleeper. Now you make the transition. First of all, can they get into the tournament? Because they still got to get into their own tournament. And could they do some damage? But that was impressive last night. What do you think? How do you think Kyle Hess celebrated? Because he had the 8th inning where he had the 2-run triple, and then he has the 10th inning with the walk-off, and I still can't figure out why Coastal Carolina's outfielders were so deep.
And they were doing that the last 2 nights, too.
Yeah,
this is where you kind of get into
that didn't make sense.
The setting of this field, and when you don't know how to necessarily play it, even though the ball still travels out of that ballpark these days. And
you mean even with the COVID eligibility, they don't have guys that were here in 16?
You would think. I think they just missed them.
But pretty impressive back-to-back wins by Creighton, and now the focus, because they are the midweek champions.
They are.
I mean, I think they will hang a banner for being midweek champions. That's pretty damn impressive what they've done the last 2 nights against Coastal Carolina, and we'll see in about 5 weeks how much it benefits them, because I saw Kendall yesterday had Creighton as one of the first 4 out. Still had Nebraska as a 2 seed, and Nebraska's RPI, by the way, just being fair and balanced because we are a Fox station, they are 23 this morning, so they dropped 2 spots overnight.
UConn was the only representative from the Big East, just because by default that they lead the Big East right now. So yeah, it's a 1-bid league, but this is where Creighton, this is where what they did in the last 48 hours can serve them well without actually winning the Big East tournament. Now, obviously you have to get in, but then you put yourself in a position that by getting in, they're going to have to win some series. And the good thing is you still got UConn, you still got St. John's, you got Georgetown this weekend. So there are those opportunities. And we say that's a good thing, but we're still waiting for.
But don't they really only have two opportunities to help their resume? Everything else is hurting.
Yes.
And that is Nebraska next Tuesday and then the trip to UConn.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't even look at where St. John's is right now.
New York.
Thank you.
To be
Queens, to be.
Sorry, where they are in the
been there.
RPI. Yeah, they're not. Okay, they're not even in the top 100, at least unless I just scanned over them. So if you look at those opportunities from an RPI standpoint, that is. But as far as getting yourself in a position to get back into the better side of that top 4 where you feel like you're in the Big East tournament, that's where then you can start. If they can put themselves in, say, solidly at the 2 or 3 seed in the Big East tournament, then you can start looking at that resume. Then you can start looking at RPI. Then you can start saying, okay, are they worthy with what they've done in the midweek and by being in the Big East tournament, as long as they don't have a early exit, you win at least a game in the Big East tournament, then I think they're under heavy consideration. And that's why what they still have in front of them from a Big East standing standpoint is huge. And we've been talking about this the last 2 days. If this run against Coastal Carolina, what you did offensively, and I know this was a way to describe Nebraska when they won the Big Ten a couple of years back, the grit, those are, from a mental standpoint, what you're able to do, where it looked like, hey, you know what? There's no shame in splitting with Coastal Carolina, and the way that game was trending last night. That's the one thing that I've been so impressed with this team, and would love to see that over the weekend as well. That confidence is there. And so if you can't draw something from these 2 games against Coastal Carolina, I honestly don't know what you will find it from. This has to mean something. And I know it sounds like a broken record in saying that. This has to mean something because I'm convinced they're a good team. I don't know why it doesn't show up.
They are a good team. And they are, if they get into an NCAA tournament, you're right. Their resiliency is pretty impressive. I mean, they battle you for 9 innings. They could be a team that possibly does some damage, I think, if they get in. But if they don't make their Big East tournament and you're on optics and you're looking at RPI, I think you're having a tension convention on Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah.
But they're good. They're good. And the last 2 nights proved how good they are. I just don't get what happens on the Big East weekends. You could win the series. Okay, that's fine. But losing a series,
right?
Their pitching last night, that before I started to watch the Heat game there, it was 3-0, and I was like, okay, this might be one of those nights where we got one, 1-2-3, Cancun, and we split. We're fine.
Yeah,
their pitchers for the last 9 innings of that game, man, and they rolled out Tom, Dick, and Harry to pitch. Now some of their better arms out of the bullpen got to pitch last night, so that made a difference. But in the last 9 innings of that game, they only gave up 1 run. They struck out 8. They only gave up 5 hits, and there was not a lot of moments where, you could feel like the dam was about to burst and Coastal was going to put a big crooked number up. So kudos on their pitching staff. But that's a fun team to watch. That's a good team. But now they got to take care of business on the weekend,
and most likely playing a doubleheader on Saturday. Because it don't look good on Friday.
Bill Ranby already.
Do you see it? They say have 100% chance of rain. They usually don't like to say 100%. Give yourself a chance, a little wiggle room.
Fearmonger said we're all going to drown.
Saw Bill Ranby yesterday.
Yeah.
He was out at the Storm Chasers game, threw out a first pitch.
Oh, did he?
Threw a little change up, right low and away. I think the ABS system would call it a ball.
Oh.
If it was Hunter Wendelstadt or Angel Hernandez, it was a strike.
Did it snap like Paul Skeens?
No.
That's because that snap.
I know he gave up his first run, but
I gave him an air last night on a play.
Oh, did you?
I had to assess him an air. Yeah, he threw comebacker to him. First of all, it broke a bat, so the bat's coming right at him. So was the ball. He turned and he threw it to second, and he one-hopped it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it got away from the second baseman who was covering the bag, and a run scored. So I had to give him an air.
Yeah, that's on him.
But yeah, he should not be in AAA. We'll talk more about him because he is chill. Man, he is a cool dude. He's exactly the same guy that was here from LSU last year. That was really fun interview. He has it going, and he should not be in AAA. He should be in the majors, but they manipulate service time and so on and so forth. But that was fun yesterday. But Bill Ranby threw out one of the first pitches because it was it was Kids Day, so they had a sellout over 9,000 to watch Skeens and to sing all the songs. Like to hear constant chatter during one of those games.
Yeah.
And then to hear like the kids that recognize songs so they'll sing along to them. I was like, oh, that's kind of refreshing. It was like a fun day. So they had a sellout there.
It's like, my parents love Cypress Hill.
They have like weather awareness, teach the kids. So
nice.
Randy is there. First thing somebody said to me, because they usually only see Bill on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh man, he's skinnier.
Skinny or tall?
I said,
Taller.
you know what? TV puts 15 pounds on you. Radio, they say, puts 35. But I did see the weather for Friday. Yeah,
it's not looking good.
It's raining right now here in Omaha. Yeah.
So that's the other thing is we're talking a lot about what happens with Creighton on Friday, but that also impacts the team in Lincoln.
Let's go. Big series against Iowa this weekend.
With a spring game on top of what it was going to be a nice little transition from Memorial Stadium to Haymarket Park, the Bowling Stadium. Now you might have to
2:00 doubleheader.
That's what I'm kind of thinking too.
Yeah.
Then you get the night game.
That spring game will be over by 1.
Yeah, well,
you got a TV window to get into.
Yep.
All right. The window that we fit our guests into is brought to you by the rivalries at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Well done. Effortless.
Carmen DeFalco from ESPN 1000 in Chicago will join us. Kind of a big day the last 2 days for the city of Chicago with the announcement of the stadium plans on the lakefront. We got to hear from Kevin Warren again.
He's also a big, not Warren, but Carmen's also a big White Sox fan, so that'll be fun.
It is fun.
I don't know if that's fun.
No, it's not fun.
I'm
also,
enjoying it.
Sarah Baker Hansen
yeah.
stops by, Steve Sipple and Brian Edwards. And don't forget, we have the round table today at a square table at Oscars. Happer Show will be out there, and then USC. And then in between, we're the sandwich. All 5 get together. We're having a fivesome on the air to talk about ball, y'all.
Bring your own
We're not talking about practice. We're going to be talking about a game. Not practice. We're going to be talking about a game. That is a couple of days away when the red takes on the white, a rivalry that goes back many, many, many years ago.
So where you start picking teams and they quit talking to each other for the next few days.
Really gets emotional
until that game wraps up on Saturday.
Is it just me, or there is such little anticipation and excitement for the spring game?
This is great, just though. You. Boring is good.
Somebody in a group chat yesterday said, "Hey, have they decided how they're going to pick the teams?" Because in the past, that's like a question that's come up.
Yep.
You haven't heard anything about how they're going to pick the teams. Like nobody's even asked.
Nope.
Or a coach has like offered.
And Matt Rule today probably be like, does anybody want to know how we're going to do this? We trust you, coach.
Get in,
do what you got to do.
Get in, get out, no injuries. Kind of my philosophy when I was in college. 6:31.
It's true though.
During the conversation, if you'd like to discuss like today, who would Sonny Weaver take at number 2? You can join us on the Zone Hotline. It is powered by 42 Degrees, the source by your mom's house, 402-951-1620. Bo
Callahan.
Jackknifed semi off the road, JFK northbound approaching I-80. That did not look good.
You don't want to hear that at 6:30. You don't want to hear that ever.
Basketball fans in state are not happy with Bellevue, so they're jackknifing semis. 402-951-1620. You can also email us in the Equitable Bank inbox, where Doug is anticipating a phone call. He'll pick it up on the first ring. You want to call him? Just talk about random stuff. He'll be there today for you.
He's there already.
He won't be there tomorrow because tomorrow's a golf day. Well, no, it's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he during golf season, he doesn't work on Fridays, but
Smart
he has
man.
people that fill in for him. It's quite amazing when you run the place. But the Equitable Bank inbox, where they take banking personally, professionally, and for you. They are for the people.
Courteous too.
You can put a guarantee on the box, but Equitable Bank guarantees that you don't need a box to do business with them. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley 1620thezone.com.
Also on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed, official sponsor of Nebraska football, at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
All right, off and running. More on the draft. Also some college baseball and basketball. Creighton adds one. Nebraska tries to find another. We'll do all of that as we roll till 10. Good lineup, good show for you. And don't forget, roundtable at noon out at Oscars. So come have a nooner with us, mix in a little beer, pizza, and wings, and football. I mean, what else do you want?
And get yourself ready for draft day.
Thursday?
Just stay there for the draft.
Peyote with your favorite zone personality.
Wait, can you imagine if you stayed there for the draft and you showed up at noon? You think you'd have to be you carried out or wheeled out when the draft is over tonight about 10:30?
Depends how much pizza and wings you have.
If you're
but
a Cowboys fan, you
either
think
way,
they're good.
Either way, that's a good Thursday.
All right, off and running. Jimmy, I'll have a little update later. There'll be a lot of heat talk in that update, I imagine.
That's right. I should have started with Peppers.
Heat culture, baby.
Oh, yeah. Peppers. I forgot about Peppers.
We'll see what happens in Miami.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Hop into the driver's seat of a new Ford truck or SUV now at Baxter Ford. Choose from hundreds of new Ford F-150s, F-150 Lightnings, F-250s, and F-350s. Baxter Ford has over 250 new SUV models available, including Bronco, Bronco Sport, Escape, Edge, Explorer, Expedition, and more. Plus, all our vehicles come with fair, transparent pricing and no dealer fees. So you only pay for the vehicle, not the paperwork. Get started at BaxterFord.com.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in at 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
How many oysters can you down? 12, 24, 36? Test your limit at Shuck's Fish House on Wednesday and Thursday during Oyster Fest. You can get 36 oysters for only $24. Bring a friend and your appetite. Find out more at shucksfishhouse.com.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say there's a lot to do this season in Nebraska's outdoors. There's always hiking in the state parks. There's bird watching. There's trout stream fishing action. There's scouting for that spring wild turkey hunting trip. And there's looking for shed deer antlers in your favorite woods. So there's no reason to be a couch potato, is there? No. Get outdoors and enjoy. Well, it's time to get all your new permits and stamps for hunting, fishing, fur harvesting in state parks. Time to check your motorboat registration for renewal. Time to make those cabin and camping reservations in the state parks if you haven't done that already. And time to go over all of your outdoor gear for spring and summer. Get more information on Nebraska's outdoor scene by going to the Game and Parks website, outdoornebraska.gov. And that'll wrap it up. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Join the stations of the Zone this spring on our road to the College World Series. Creighton baseball is back from Charles Schwab Field. Our regular season schedule takes us all the way through the Big East tournament. Creighton baseball on 1620 The Zone and 1180 The Zone.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Attention Omaha parents, if you're looking for a fun, safe, affordable summer camp experience for your kids, look no further than Camp Croc. Located at Croc Center, Omaha, just off of Kennedy Freeway and Q Street, Camp Croc runs weekdays from the end of May through August 9th. Kids ages 6 through 12 will enjoy all kinds of activities, from sports and character building to swimming and STEM projects. Plus, breakfast, lunch, and snacks are included. For more details, go to omahacroc.org. That's omahakroc.org.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, my eyes might have been deceiving me. A little bit of late night last night. So 1890 is doing a memorabilia auction.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Saw Fred's tweet.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
Gold, Fred. Gold.
Do they really have a signed Mike Riley helmet?
That we need for the studio.
I mean, maybe they were cleaning out the closet of some of the things they had. And they're like, hey, we still have this. Maybe we can fetch something for it, because people seem to like him as a person.
Let's get it and take it to our remotes next football season. See if anyone wants it.
I don't know how much publicizing I would do about it, but maybe it could be an add-on. Like, hey, we've got this Eric Crouch signed football, and hey, for the highest bidder, we're going to throw in a little bonus Mike Riley autograph football helmet.
Riley? Pat? No, Mike. Oh.
Yeah. It seemed legit. But as I mentioned yesterday, Matar Diop is still also on the 1890 billboard in the Midtown area of Omaha, right around the 60th in I-80 area.
Let me look at here, because so I got a helmet way back, like a game used helmet back in the 90s. And one of my traditions has been I've had every head coach, beginning with Coach Osborne, all the way through. And then just most recently, I got Coach Rule to sign it. I've gotten all the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the rare coaches at Nebraska that has signed an autograph, and he is a GBR guy.
Oh, puts GBR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I think he's the only person on that helmet
He's a
that
nice
signed GBR.
Did you get Mike Riley's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Riley was like one of, like, that was in his first year. When I wasn't living here,
mm-hmm.
I know people in the equipment office, the great Jay Terry, and I sent it. I said, hey, can you have Coach Callahan sign this? And I didn't get it back for like a year, a little over a year, and we got into 2007.
That's not surprising.
And I'm like, okay. Like, what happens if he doesn't last and the helmet just disappears? I go, that's got T.O.'s signature on it. It's got Solich's signature on it.
You're actually making me anxious now for you.
It's Callahan's last straw. He just sees that helmet sitting there on it,
Give
having
me
a
my
bad day.
helmet
He's
back.
like, just destroys it.
So I came back for a game and was told to stop by, and so I got it.
Good.
So so here I am flying back to Florida with this helmet. Like I'm a memorabilia collector.
Did you put it in the overhead?
No,
okay.
it sat on.
It would have been on
sat in your lap.
It sat on my lap.
Oh, okay.
Things were not as restrictive back there in 2007.
You could have put that under the seat in front of you, though. It would have fit.
No.
Put it in a kennel,
but then just have your feet around it, securing it.
The one thing though that like it, it's like if you see a Nebraska football helmet up close, it back in the 90s, it was with the real skinny end that looks so beautiful.
Yeah, that skinny end again.
But it was the cream. Like their helmet was more.
It wasn't
cream
like
than it was
true white.
Yeah. It wasn't pearl white.
So
You're
that
right.
so that it looks now kind of like it's starting to fade a little bit. Like the TO
getting
signature
yellow.
is getting a little faded. Well, the Rule signature stands out. And I'm like, hey man, that guy just kind of.
Can you spray?
But I think Riley was the only one that is a GBR guy.
Okay. Did Matt Rule say RDV?
He did not.
OOU?
DMV?
No.
No.
Just signed it.
Okay.
Here, point at yourself.
He was very, very kind in doing that.
It'd be great if someone put their number of what number of coach in Nebraska they are.
Listener Matt.
Oh, like a president?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
What if they put their
You
record?
think they know? Scott Frost, Bill Jennings might want to hide that one.
A lot of discussion about Paul Skeens. So Skeens pitched yesterday here in Omaha. When I got to the ballpark, first of all, it was Bus Haven because it was Kids Day, Education Day. They had sellout, which was really, really cool. The weather was nice.
A lot of kids wearing Skeens jerseys.
No, but there was a
lot of kids keeping score.
Was a Roberto Clemente jersey that I did spot right next to a Lorenzo Kane. So they kind of but
different generation.
So Skeens goes to warm up, and there were 30 people, not just like kids that were like, "Whoa, what is this?" 30 people that were watching him in his bullpen warm up. Usually it's a kid asking for a ball or something.
Yeah.
And, he strolls in from the outfield, and it almost looks like he has security because there's like 5 players that are walking back to the dugout with him. He's the real deal, man. First, cool dude. He is super chill. He's the same guy he was here last year in the College World Series, and I think that helps a lot.
See what Livy sees in him.
Is, people remember him from the College World Series.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, man, I watched that guy with LSU. And he's so big. He's 6'6", and he throws over 100 miles an hour. So it's kind of like you do something unique. Caitlin Clark hits logo threes. Steph shoots the way he does. They're unique. We follow him. We get excited. Skeens is a large man that throws really, really hard. So you're attracted to him. he draws a lot of attention. It was pretty cool to see the reaction as he was warming up, and then the reaction to he would throw a pitch, and everybody go to the scoreboard to see what the radar gun said.
Yep. That's one of the things that I've always noticed when you go to a minor league game. You can tell, and Gary, you know this as well as anyone too. There's that sound when you just know it's okay. This is worth looking up at the radar gun, and we saw that a lot last year in the College World Series. Just watching him hum, but that you're right. It's his stature. When you are physically imposing like that, you can think of going back to an old Storm Chaser / Royal who's no longer with us, Giordano Ventura. There was a complete opposite, a guy who had a whip for an arm that could run it up there. But you would look at him and you'd think, wait, this dude can do that? He's not physically imposing. There's just something about the large human being that throws really hard that you can't take your eyes off of.
So his first day yesterday was first day that he pitched into the fifth inning. And he is 98, 99. I think he topped 100 maybe once or twice. But he's throwing a 94, 95 mile an hour split-fingered fastball.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. And then he would drop you an 84, 85 slider. And there were a couple of guys in the Storm Chaser lineup yesterday that have played in the majors. So
they're like,
it's like they're being overpowered, but he was absolutely filthy. He finally gave up a run for the first time in his AAA career. But as I watched him throw, I'm like, this is what is wrong with Major League Baseball. He should not be in AAA. He should be in the majors. They're manipulating his service time. I think in May he will get called up.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that he doesn't become another young pitcher with an arm injury, because what he is doing will draw some casual eyeballs into watching more Pirate games. But you're right about the sound, man. Even when he was doing about 45 feet away with the catcher in the outfield before he went and got on the bullpen mound, you could hear in the press box the mitt popping.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, that's a sound of money.
It is. And this is my hope for Paul Skeens. You bring up the preserving the arm, that I think you've got a lot of medical staffs that are part of, especially Major League Baseball, but also the doctors that are assigned to each organization and each Major League team. When you have, first of all, the investment that you're obviously putting into a guy like Paul Skeens or anybody that you feel is going to be one of your top prospects, it's eventually going to be the face of your franchise. I think there has been a lot of studies going into the UCL, and a lot of that leads back to the usage during the offseason, the wear and tear during the offseason. I can't tell you what Paul Skeens experienced from volume between the national championship and then going into spring training.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched much.
And I hope that is a benefit, because guys are creature of habit. When they don't have a baseball in their hand and there's no scoreboard, or they're not asked to do it, it's hard for them to just sit out and not do that. I like to think, though, in the last couple of years, from what we've learned with that injury and the overuse, that these guys understand the longevity of their career is more important than staying active and continuing that routine when they can change it up a little bit, continue to strengthen their arm, but not put the stress, especially on the elbow. Look, you could go down with a labrum, you could go down with a rotator cuff. Those things are going to happen. But the UCL, that's the one that we've seen sidetrack so many careers early on. I'd like to think that you've had enough examples where you can point back to overuse, that I'm just hoping Paul Skeens can avoid that type of fate, because it just seems like every stud pitcher that we've seen in the last decade at some point has succumbed to that. And a lot of those guys have experienced that a lot earlier in their career. That's my hope, is that we've learned enough. Paul Skeens has been able to do enough that his elbow, his arm is as physically ready for this as it possibly can be.
Yeah, they have a good roster. Nick Gonzalez, who was a first-round pick, is playing shortstop from Clemson. Josh, who big Pirate fan, called in yesterday. The future is bright. And his debut will be, I think, pretty electric when he's up there. A couple of tweets on people that saw Skeens yesterday. Don didn't make the Creighton game last night, but Skeens yesterday was stupid. Without a U, it's all double O.
Oh, I was going to say, intelligence shouldn't have anything to do with this.
I am completely convinced robo-umps need to go. he got robbed on his slider multiple times. Keep the human element behind the plate. So in the minors, Tuesday through Thursday is ABS. Friday through Sunday is challenge. So the home plate umpire, he just had the thing in his ear telling him if it was a ball or a strike.
Right.
They're pretty good. Tuesday through Thursday, I think they're pretty good. Then you get into the human element, but here's the thing, like with this system, and we talk about robo-umps in the majors. There are some pitches that the ABS system will not give you that are called a strike in the majors. They just always are.
Yeah.
So sometimes pitchers that may struggle a little bit in AAA, they'll go up to the majors, and it's a lot easier for them because they're getting that low pitch or that high pitch. Paul Skeens will be one of those guys that is umpires adjust to his repertoire. He will get a lot of pitches that are on the paint. Kyle writes in, what a waste of Skeens. The way things are these days, every pitch he throws is one step closer to Tommy John. He's wasting these pitches in the minors.
Again, that goes back to our point. It's a fair concern. At this day and age, it's a fair concern, especially when you have a power arm. Big body like that. My other hope is when you are that large, it doesn't put as much. I made the comparison to Yordano Ventura. Think of guys like Pedro Martinez have just whips for arms. But it's not putting as necessarily when you have that type of arm angle like those guys do and that type of motion, it doesn't create as much stress on your elbow. It's forcing you to use your whole body. But then when I think of big guys like Paul Skeens, it's also really forcing you to use your lower half, and you hope that hopefully that can be in concert with your elbow. Sometimes it's just going to happen, okay? But when it's due to wear and tear or overthrowing, overuse, that's where we've seen. I don't want to say the majority of those cases, probably at least 50% of those cases, though, because of overuse. That's what you hope is being avoided.
Speaking of which, you brought that up. Every time you talk about pitchers overuse, you immediately use Shane Comine. You're absolutely right. Some pitchers, they throw hard, but it's effortless.
Right.
Some pitchers throw hard, and their arm angle, everything about it is a challenge every single pitch. Like Skeens is pretty effortless, just popping the ball at 98 to 100. I can't remember his name. What was the Arkansas closer that?
45. It was just recently. It was when Nebraska played him in the regional. I'm just totally blanking on his name too.
Because I want to.
Another Van Horn guy as well.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Dave. I don't know if Dave admits this, but it's a thing. I mean, he likes to use his pitchers. That's why Hagen Smith is a guy that's going to be drafted pretty high, and I think Arkansas will be here in Omaha, and they're my
Kevin Kopp's
sentimental favorite to win the national championship. But Hagen Smith is a guy that he pitches a lot, but they don't overuse him. So Kopp's right now, I don't think he has missed a season. He is in AAA right now. 9 games this year, 12 1/3 innings, 2.92 ERA. He has thrown 151 innings in 4 years in the minors, but now he's in AAA. He has not had a stint on the DL, if I recall.
That's a good sign, especially with that's Dave Van Horn's MO.
And he was a little bit of a smaller guy. He wasn't a Skeens guy. He was 6 foot?
Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't very big to throw that hard when he was at Arkansas.
Yeah, and this is another, I think, important factor when it does come to what is perceived as overuse is the recovery methods for this too. And that's where I think a lot of throwing programs that have been initiated, and you see at the high school level too, but also in college baseball programs more so than anything. This is the one thing that everybody was always questioning. Remember when Nebraska had arm injury after arm injury with their pitchers when Ted Silva was the pitching coach, and a lot of people were putting Ted Silva on blast saying, okay, what is this throwing program? Because this is the commonality. I remember asking Ted Silva about how he was diagnosing the issues, and he was baffled. They had vetted so much about their throwing program from doctors, from trainers, from people in Major League Baseball of the best way result-wise on preparation and recovery. And then the off-season throwing program and how you're able to find that balance of not overusing but still being able to keep that arm strong. And it sometimes it's just really, really bad luck. But I also would like to think, compared to, say, 2001 or 2002, here in 2024, there's a lot more information and there's a lot more ability to dial into a proper throwing program that if you do fall to any type of arm injury, it's not going to be because of the system that you're in, and you're going to have the proper type of recovery when you do rev it up, say 120, 125 pitches in a start or in an appearance.
Ed writes in.
I can nerd out on this all day, by the way.
Inbox. Well, I saw it firsthand. Alex Wimmers, who was Twins' first-round draft pick, they messed with him. They didn't do surgery right away.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that threw pretty hard. They tried to rehab. Now you don't see rehab. Guys will go
Right.
under the knife right away. Some guys will even undergo Tommy John surgery when they don't necessarily need it.
I've heard of that.
And also there are more success stories coming back from Tommy John
Mhm.
surgery than there are, oh, your career is completely
Yeah,
over.
guys coming back even stronger. And that's the other part about it. If you start to experience discomfort and you know that is now a looming issue, it's almost as if you want, okay, let's just get it out of the way now.
Yeah, Alex, by the way, just, kind of ran out of gas in the minors, never made the majors. Twins made a huge investment in him, and he could just never get it back. And they said, hey, let's just go about 6 to 8 months of rehab.
Yeah.
Instead of his agent wanted him to do the surgery right away.
Mm-hmm.
Never was the same. Ed writes into the Equitable Bank inbox to finish off the hour. He said, saw Skeens yesterday. Quite impressive, even when you are sitting field level. Saw him at the College World Series. I think he's better now than he was at LSU.
And that's saying something because he was dominant there. But you would think, yeah.
They're also asking, he's also facing better hitters.
Absolutely.
So he has to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
But he was filthy yesterday. But man, he just is a chill dude. Like, he talked to the media afterwards. He's really, really cool. I'm sure tonight he'll sign a ton of autographs.
Mm-hmm.
The collectors were there yesterday. None of them had their 10 Skeen Indianapolis Indian jerseys on.
Except for Livy. Livy will have it on tonight.
And she said yesterday, I guess TMZ stopped her. She said, I've already got my outfits for her when he makes his debut in Pittsburgh.
She does. She's
Just
got her fits.
Just get her to Oscars today. She can be a six-person
Will
round team.
Skeens and Dunn be able to match the attention of Kelsey and Swift?
I brought that up yesterday. What is going to be the bigger power couple? Because obviously it's kind of a silly question right now because Taylor Swift is global.
She sings the song.
Travis Kelce is part
She
of
sings songs about you.
That's right. But
many guys are like, yeah, she does.
You look at Livy Dunn's Instagram influencer presence and Paul Skeens, who is,
That's true.
already
You're on the
well
gram
known.
now, so yeah, you know all about this.
I still don't actively
You don't
hang
follow
out on
her?
the gram, but
You
I'm
should
there.
follow her.
I'm there for content if I need it. But yeah, I don't think they'll ever get to that level. Maybe when Taylor decides to take a break for a while
And have a kid.
Yeah.
And get married.
and then hopefully it's with Travis. You don't want to ruin his game. And then when Travis steps away, maybe that's where Skeens
I hope it's
Skeens
with
and
a
Dunn can
teammate.
pounce because they're going to be active. They're going to be more still in the camera and active of what they're doing when those two maybe take it a little bit slow. That's the only shot that Skeens Dunn have.
All right, coming up at the bottom of the next hour, it's Happy Caleb Williams Day in Chicago.
Thank you.
Carmen DeFalco will join us on the vibe in Chicago, what they will do with number 1. I think that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 draft picks tonight will be absolute craziness. People trying to move into those spots, but I think the first 3 will be quarterbacks. I'm not saying anything that you haven't heard. And Marvis Harrison goes 4th to Arizona, and I think is the best player in the draft. We'll do all of that and much more on Happy Draft Day for everyone. Don't forget, we're at Oscars today, 10 to 6 with the Zone, and we'll have a roundtable to talk about that spring game coming up in Lincoln on Saturday. We'll all be out there at noon with all of you. Update with Jimmy's coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. There is a jackknifed semi on the right shoulder of JFK northbound at I-80 exit 452. All lanes are currently open and it is off the road, but if you are in this area soon, just proceed cautiously. No other accidents, obstructions, or slow-moving traffic in the early hours on this Thursday. Just stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
I have never seen this before. Hi, John with Saul's Jewelry and Loan. The price of gold is the highest it's ever been. Now is the time to get the best price on your broken jewelry, chains, and diamond jewelry. Saul's has been around a while, and trust us, now's the time. Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. While leaning over the fence, your neighbor said you could save money bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. Your neighbor leaned over a little too much and broke your fence. Dumb news. Somehow fence wood is more expensive than wood. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and to plant really tall shrubs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Attention Omaha parents, if you're looking for a fun, safe, affordable summer camp experience for your kids, look no further than Camp Croc. Located at Croc Center, Omaha, just off of Kennedy Freeway and Q Street, Camp Croc runs weekdays from the end of May through August 9th. Kids ages 6 through 12 will enjoy all kinds of activities, from sports and character building to swimming and STEM projects. Plus, breakfast, lunch, and snacks are included. For more details, go to omahacroc.org. That's omahakroc.org.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Ah, spring in Nebraska. The birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and the helmets are cracking. It's spring, and in Nebraska, that means football. Head to Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill at 173rd and Center today for our 1620 The Zone spring game lunch. The Connor Happer Show and Sportsmanlike Conduct are broadcasting live all show long, and at noon, all of our hosts will be together for a 1620 The Zone roundtable unlike anything you've heard before. It's spring game week at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill with 1620 The Zone.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton, Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
For the second straight night, Creighton had to rally after surrendering 3 runs in the top of the first inning. Kyle Hess triples home the tying run in the 8th and then drives home the winning run in the 10th inning. As Creighton continues its midweek mastery. 5-4 walk-off win in 10 innings over Coastal Carolina. They are 10-0 in the midweek games. They played all the games in the midweek. They would be undefeated and be declared champions at season's end.
They'd be hosting.
Yeah, everything.
Overall number 1 seed.
They're 30-9 overall. Coastal making its first return to Omaha since winning the 2016 College World Series. It's been that long. Damn. Fell to 27-14 on the spring after losing the second time in as many days. And then they got to go back to Charleston. Is that where they are? No, they're close to Myrtle Beach. It's nice there. That's all I know.
Conway.
Yes.
Conway, yes.
Closer to Myrtle Beach.
I should know this.
Yeah,
Saw way too much of Coastal for 3
years. A big difference
years
between Charleston and Myrtle Beach. Someone that has driven up and down 17 there.
Pretty.
Where would you rather be?
Oh, Charleston by a mile. Myrtle Beach is a tourist trap.
Yeah.
I mean, Myrtle Beach has so many like T-shirt shops off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Good morning, Alvin's.
Yeah.
So if I were to try to find a Christmas ornament because I have a travel tree, I'd be able to find many options in Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. Alvin's and the other surf shops.
And they'll all say they have the best.
You get towels of every NFL team hanging on the wall.
I've always wanted to golf in Myrtle Beach, though.
Golfing is great. It's just it's very much a tourist area.
I can see that.
Where Charleston is, I would take Charleston 100 times over Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Totally understand this.
I don't need to go to Myrtle Beach. If I'm living in Charleston, I go out to Folly Beach.
Better?
It's
less people.
I mean, it's still Folly is kind of crazy, but probably less people.
I can relate to this.
But it's all on the water. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
When you hate people, those are the things you want to hear. Plus, in that restaurant in Charleston, that's
excuse me?
Oh, yeah.
If you hate people?
If you hate people, you want to hear, no. You want this one. Less people, less tourists.
Okay.
Man,
hate's such a strong word, but okay.
Strongly dislike people most of the time. Strongly.
If you prefer to be by yourself. How about that?
You know who doesn't want to be by himself is Jemiah Neal, because he's coming to Creighton. 6'6" guard from Toledo, though not at Toledo. He played the previous 3 seasons at Arizona State, which is not in Ohio, but now in the NCHC in hockey, go figure, and will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. He scored 565 points in his time at Arizona State, started 31 to 32 games as a junior this past season, averaging career highs, 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. The Storm Chasers fall behind early and can't pull ahead as they fall to Indianapolis 7-4 yesterday on Paul Skeens Day at Werner Park. Indianapolis jumped out early as the Indians scored a run. First and 4 in the second off. Omaha starter Zach Davies for early 5-0 lead. Davies making his Omaha debut, settled down after all the second with scoreless 30. All those kids, it's just intimidating. He walked 2, allowed 5 hits, surrendering 5 runs. Skeens had Omaha's hitters off balance for much of the day as he struck out 7 over 4 2/3 innings of work. However, the Storm Chasers became the first team to score a run off him this season. C.J. Alexander tripled with 1 out in the bottom of the second and scored on a single from Nate Eaton. Another run across the plate for Omaha in the 4th inning as Nick Lofton scored on a throwing error from Skeens. Print the T-shirts. Yeah. Congratulations to everyone who made it happen. All right, in the NBA, the Miami Heat shoot 43 3-point attempts Wednesday. At one point, they only had 5 shots at the rim. Sometimes I really hate what the NBA's become. Anyway, but I do like that the Heat won as they finish off with a playoff franchise record 23 threes. The Heat beat the Celtics 111-101 with that Heat culture. In Game 2 to even the series at 1, they'll play Game 3 in Miami Saturday. Cue up the Peppas. After scoring 11 points on 13 shots in the opener, Tyler Hero has 24 points on 13 shots, including 6 3-pointers, and he added 14 assists to a regular Tim Hardaway, the second most in a game in Heat playoff history. After a narrow win in Game 1, Oklahoma City Thunder coach Mark Daigneault warned his team. I loved watching Charles Barkley trying to pronounce his name last night. Warned his team about the Pelicans coming out with more aggression in Game 2 Wednesday night. And the Pelicans did hit first with their first 11 points coming from Jonas Valanciunas. But after the first punch didn't matter. Thunder became the aggressors as the Oklahoma City drop an EF5 on the Pelicans, 124-92 to take a 2-0 lead in the first round series. Durr rookie Chet scored 15 of his 26 points in the first quarter.
He looked good last night. I mean, he was physical. They're good. They've been a fun team to watch this entire year. But he went to a whole nother level. New Orleans is not equipped to.
They need Zion, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they're not going to get
They
him.
don't have the dearth of options that the Thunder have in this series.
And the Thunder have Dort.
They do.
That's all that matters.
Pro wants,
They do.
what a
Kendrick
pro
Perkins, by
needs.
the way, Jimmy, he mentioned this. The Miami Heat could go 100% from the field and 100% from three, and they're still going to get swept. Remember that Kendrick Perkins, we didn't really know much about Kendrick Perkins, and then COVID came along, and ESPN was looking for people to do shows from their home, and he had a setup, and the next thing you know, he's all over ESPN. But I noticed that he dipped his toe into the Inside the NBA war, and they had a punching bag with his face on it the other night that they did a segment on, and Barkley and Shaq were all giving it the old 1-2.
As Chuck said last week, 5 points a game, gonna call me out. Exactly. Knew Kendrick Perkins well because Tim Duncan used to take him to school, even as an old man. Every time. Just stand there. Don't move your feet.
100%, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that team's gonna win the game.
Makes me root for the Heat. I don't have anything against the Celtics. I just don't like them. 3 games tonight, all game threes. Cavs and Magic at 6 o'clock on NBA TV. Of course, Knicks, Sixers, Nugget, Lakers on actual TV you can watch. Both series 2-0 in favor of New York and Denver, respectively. And in the hockey, I can't forget the hockey because Steve wants me to get the hockey. And you know why Steve wants me to get the hockey in? Because the Bruins beat the Maple Leafs last night, 4-2, to take a 2-1 series lead. Golden Knights beat the Stars 2-1 in Dallas. They lead 2-0. And the Kings beat the Oilers 5-4. The series is tied at 1-1. 2 games tonight. Panthers and Lightning's game 3, and Hurricanes and Islanders game 3. Carolina and Florida each lead those series 2-0. And baseball, Shohei the Greek Ohtani has 3 doubles to improve his major league leading batting average to .371. Rookie Landon Knack got his first victory as the Dodgers routed the Nationals 11-2 last night, getting revenge from that 5-game playoff loss in 2019, which resulted in the Nationals beating the Astros. Could have all been prevented if the Dodgers had just beaten them. Not that I'm still bitter. Why the hell didn't you put Garrett Cole in Game 7 when he was ready to go? Anyway, speaking of the Astros, they used to be good. They're not anymore. The Cubs beat the Astros in an NL Central clash at Wrigley 4-3. Astros on pace to finish 7-155. Look out, 2012 Astros. Royals beat the Blue Jays 3-2 at Kauffman in a heated rematch of the 1985 and 2015 ALCS, won both by the American team.
Mark Leiter, by the way, he's like Paul Skeens of the majors. 12 1/3, no runs allowed, 13 Ks. I hope your team does well after they leave Wrigley today.
They won't. That's okay. It's nice to see the Astros and Cubs doing it up again. I wish it was on WGN.
Oh,
that's what I grew up with. Then you could tell when Harry had a few, because by the 9th inning, you'd just be Biggio. It's like, oh, I didn't know Craig was batting. Okay.
The Bruins Maple Leafs game last night was a fascinating watch. So Brad Marchand is an absolute beast. As Jimmy mentioned, the Bruins won that game to go up 2-1 in the series. There's just something that hits me in the heart when I see sad Maple Leaf fans.
Oh,
they love that sport. I mean,
yes, they do.
You ever been to Toronto? It is a Maple Leaf town. The sports talk, even in the middle of the summer, the Blue Jays could be in first place.
The Raptors won a championship, doesn't matter.
And they're talking about the Maple Leafs and, who's going to go to prospect camp in September. But they gather outside, just like, when the Raptors were really, really good, they would show them outside in Raptor Park.
Yeah.
And the fans were super rabid. The Maple Leaf fans are tenfold. And they were outside, and they kept showing them last night as the Bruins went ahead, and then they won the game. But that game was fierce. It seemed like everybody that had the puck, or once they got rid of the puck, got hit in that game. I mean, the hitting was all above board, but it was a physical, fun, just rock'em sock'em hockey game last night. But watching a sad Maple Leaf fan, I don't know if I can go through that anymore. I mean, they want to win the cup so bad in Toronto.
So nice too. All those Canada. Well, no.
Free healthcare will do that.
Maybe not in hockey. Once you get into the actual building, I don't know if they're as friendly as they appear to be just on the streets. But all of the venues. I remember when the Omaha Sarbon Knights were here, I started taking a little bit more interest. Even though I was always a diehard Chicago Blackhawk fan, was always taking a little bit of interest in the Calgary Flames organization, and the Saddle Dome was always a place I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be able to experience that, but
Sandy
seeing
McCarthy
those
board
venues in Stanley Cup playoffs as opposed to just your regular season games, oh yeah, it's special. That's not to say that you have venues here in the States that don't do it as well, but the passion, that being the national sport there too. Yeah, I'm with you. You feel for them, especially when they're not in your face about it. I don't know of a
people in Vancouver are laughing.
Well, I don't know of an overly cocky fan base when it comes to Canadian hockey teams in the NHL. That's overly cocky where you want them to lose.
When Montreal used to have a pulse,
yeah. Montreal was the one team that
still doesn't really bother me. Doesn't really bother me. Nothing about it. Maybe it's just because they're up there and I'm down here. Maybe that's why.
Okay.
I just don't. I'm not inundated with it every day. But yeah.
You're not watching the CBC before you come in every morning?
No, I wish I need to make more time for that, though. I feel like that's something in my life I need to embrace.
Jimmy mentioned in the update, so Creighton got an addition in the portal. The portal is sometimes you don't necessarily get what you want, but you get what you need. Jemiah Neal is an interesting pickup from Arizona State. So spent the last 2 days here in Omaha. I think he is someone who, in the structure of a MAC offense, will be better. The guy wasn't a bum in Tempe, but I think his game inside of where there's better spacing will help his game expand. Intriguing pickup. He needs to handle the ball a little bit better, but the fact that he can get to the rim is also a huge asset. And I know they've got a couple other guys that they're working on. Mahaney, who was here, went to Virginia, probably going to be UConn and Creighton for him. I'm wondering, just judging off a Stephen Ashworth social media post last night where he's golfing and he tags Dalen Hill, who is the guard from BYU that is in the portal. If that's the next option out there.
It's been interesting. We talked about the silence over the last couple of weeks that didn't necessarily mean that Creighton wasn't active. You know that they are, and you know that they have some big shoes to fill. I think that there were a lot of people. I was getting this question a lot on Friday when it came to, when I'm trying to remember, when did Chucky go into the portal? Was it last Friday?
Last Wednesday.
Or Wednesday,
and,
yeah.
By the way, he is
he's in Louisville.
Unless they have the death penalty or they decide to drop basketball, that'll be his destination.
I don't think the death penalty is coming. I think they're getting rid of that anyway. But yeah, the questions that I'm sure you were getting, I was getting is, and Frankie was undecided too. Is Creighton going to get Frankie and Chucky Hepburn? And you think, okay, with the silence going on, are we about to see a really big announcement when it came to that?
Was not even on the plate.
Well, and now you kind of see a little bit of finding out what Creighton is trying to address, especially with Baylor Shireman being gone. You look at yesterday's edition, and one of my friends who is a Creighton season ticket holder asked, am I supposed to be excited about this? And I think I said a similar thing that you did of, in that system, you can't necessarily always go off of, because I think people immediately want to look at the previous place that they went to, how many points they were averaging, what the 3-point percentage is, all of those things. And I get that. I mean, we all do that. But if that number isn't one that raises your eyebrows in a good way, you start to judge it based on that. And you forget about the type of system support cast are going into, and more importantly, the coaching staff that they're going into. And so that's where I am with that. Are you bringing in Baylor Shireman and absolutely replacing that type of production, the player he was? No, but where is that guy in the transfer portal right now?
You're not going to be able to replace his shooting. So you've lost Baylor, you lost Trey. You got to find a guy that can get to the rim. I think he's a guy that can get to the rim. But I just think it's tough to compare what he did at Arizona State because he's going to be in a completely different structure that will elevate what he does well. He also does one thing that I think is important while he'll be a fit at Creighton on the other side of the floor is he defends without fouling. Yeah.
And that's the Creighton MO right there.
Now, they should be deeper this year, like go 8-9 guys, but not fouling while defending. And he's got pretty quick hands. I think he's got a knack for intuition of jumping into a passing lane. But I think it's a nice addition. You're not going to replace Shireman. You're just not. And you're going to try and replace Trey. But probably the most important thing is, what could Trey do? Trey could kind of get to the rim, that mid-range jump shot. This is a guy that can get to the rim. And they're not done. They've got a couple of more. And then, they have the Kalkbrenner decision, which, I think going to the NBA is still on the table.
The part about the transition game, too, and looking at some of the highlights last night from Neil, just watching how he does get up and down the floor. This is where maybe I don't think Baylor got as much credit for his ability to get up and down. But to your point about what Trey does really well, it wasn't Baylor's game. Baylor typically was going to create, maybe trail it, be there to knock down a big three. From what I'm seeing with Neil, not necessarily his game, as opposed to where you're going to see him being able to get from one end of the floor in a rapid rate, but also finishing at the rim too. So there are certain elements as a swingman that he's going to be able to bring in that position with athleticism that maybe what you give a little bit in the accurate three-point shooting that you always got from Baylor Shireman. And again, this is not to say Baylor wasn't an athlete. Baylor is an athlete. He went about it differently. You get a little bit more explosiveness in the transition game too at that spot.
I think the comp, and I've heard this a couple of times, is Damian Jefferson.
And you'd take that. I think you'd absolutely take that. If you can get that type of production from that spot, I think Creighton is always going to find shooters. They're always going to have those guys. And if you're able to put more athletes, and I think it's a good call if it turns out to be the case too, as far as what he can do, of being able to defend at a high level without fouling. That's also, I think, when you think of the things that you're trying to replace and stay true to this system, that's a huge one that probably doesn't get discussed enough. You heard a little bit more about it in the NCAA tournament, where I think people started looking at the numbers more than national analysts that hadn't seen Creighton on a night in, night out basis. But they would talk about the importance of that. And when you start to look at a team that doesn't necessarily want to go to the bench and has 3 or 4 guys that can come off and contribute, you look at that as a problem, but then you think, well, yeah, these guys are playing a lot of minutes, but where's the fatigue factor? And where are any of these guys, especially Kalkbrenner, as a big guy that people want to go at, where's he even getting into foul trouble, which isn't happening?
I think the thing is, as Creighton continues to assemble the roster for next year, don't forget they got 3 really good freshmen coming. They got 3 really good freshmen that could crack a rotation. So don't overlook that part and going, well, that guy doesn't rank real high. That's no AJ Store. A lot of it is fit. I mean, we can all want something. I think we do this with Nebraska. We could want certain players. And yesterday was not a good day for Nebraska in the portal. Ewan, the junior college center that Fred was one of the first to contact, he ends up staying closer to home, goes to Florida State. William Kyle III, who goes to UCLA. And, man, that was a priority for Nebraska. Fred went all in on him, was in the home, had really worked hard to establish a relationship, wanted him to get him on campus this upcoming weekend. And he goes to UCLA, so you lose an in-state kid that you didn't recruit out of high school, because not any other Power 5 schools recruited out of, or Power 6 schools recruited out of high school. They had made some ground, and he goes to UCLA. It wasn't a good day for Nebraska, but they're on to the next one. I think Nebraska and Creighton won't look at portal rankings. Like Michigan is just assembling guys.
Yep.
KU is assembling guys. It's all about fit. I think when you're Mac or your Fred, and you know what you have that is already here or coming, and you know what you like to coach, and you know like how you like to spread your resources, and you're smart because you need to have a winning locker room before it ever gets out on the floor. You're looking at more of a fit. So that's I probably, the younger Gary would go, man, is that guy ranked number 1?
Yeah.
And he was at Arizona State, and what they didn't do with him, what guys that are similar to Damian Jefferson took a big jump when he transferred here. If that's the comp, then I like this addition, but they're of course not done, and we'll see how they all fit together.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is where you trust the coaching of those rosters, and I think I don't want to say anybody ever doubted Fred as far as what he can do from an X's and O's standpoint. I think it was just being able to manage the roster in this day and age right now of where it's not just, okay, let's bring in a bunch of transfers. It's kind of like what you said with young Gary, because I was the same way. And to an extent, I am. When I immediately hear about somebody, you go to the simple statistics, points per game, and looking at if they're a big man, okay, what are they average rebounding defensively, all of those numbers. But that's where the transfer portals put us, in my opinion, where you look at the surface stats and you forget about the system they're going into, the company that they're joining, and more importantly, the coaching staff that they're going to have. And so I think for Fred, what he's shown over the last couple of years, if you're a Nebraska fan and you're a little discouraged after yesterday, we know you're not going to win every transfer portal battle. As excited as we get about certain guys, certain additions, you also get disappointed. That's the give and take of what you're going to go through when it comes to the transfer portal. But this is where you also, and I think Creighton and Mac has shown it obviously a lot more consistently with the program, that he has really transitioned so successfully into the Big East, that if you look at someone that maybe doesn't have eye-popping stats, but you know they're going into that system, you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you're not even thinking twice about it. For Fred, I think what he's shown the last year is, to your point, he's looking for, yes, somebody that obviously is a legitimate, potential high-level Big Ten type player, but more than anything is going to complement what they have, is going to fit into a culture that they've got something going there. And it's no wonder that they finished the previous season very strong, and this season, for the most part, was very strong. It wasn't just because they had a bunch of dudes that, well, this guy used to be a 5-star, this guy used to be a 5-star. Let's just get them on the floor, and I'm sure it will work out. You've put a lot more thought into that overall fit, and I think that's what you now have to trust Fred and his coaching staff in doing, even when you miss on a couple of guys or when they just ultimately don't choose you.
We'll shift back to the draft. Carmen DeFalco from ESPN 1000 will join us on will the Bears take Caleb Williams? Was it all a farce that they really like Drake May? They all rolled everything out.
Yeah.
They should take Drake May. I hate Drake May. I think Drake May is going to be one of the 3 quarterbacks that'll be a bust.
Love the Drake. Hate the Drake.
Hey.
I just
Jaden, good luck, New England, if you take Drake May, because Jaden Daniels being the number 2 pick is the smart play. Drake May, I wouldn't draft him in the top 10.
I have PTSD of anybody with a North Carolina background
Even
playing quarterback for a team. So
Chicago.
Yeah.
Let's Dave Giddy.
I just feel very confident Chicago worked out one quarterback and that was it. And Caleb Williams visited one team and that was it.
I don't know. Kevin Warren, though, he'll do some strange things. You never know.
Trade.
We'll talk the draft and more coming up next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right. The NBA Finals going on. Another good slate of hoops tonight, including that Laker-Nugget game. New customers on FanDuel, you can begin your own playoff run with $150. Just place a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets. Doesn't matter if you win or lose to start your own little run through the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, Sixers might be the play tonight, laying 5.5. But as you look at the other games going on tonight, Nuggets, Lakers with LA at home, a slight 1.5-point favorite. And then the Magic Cavaliers, home team favorite as well, 2.5 in favor of the Magic. Not just the spreads, first basket score. You can get into over-unders of all of these matchups however you want to play. Go to FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. That's FanDuel.com/zone to get started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
She has left a mark on the college game that no one else can ever claim.
A big part of her story isn't that she went to Iowa and she didn't go to South Carolina. She didn't go to UConn. That was great for the sport.
The only time I'm watching is if one of the local teams is playing. She made you want to watch, but you also could sit there and appreciate the greatness and how she changed the way the game looked on the floor.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Cloudy, mild, and breezy for your Thursday with a 30% chance of spotty showers and thunderstorms, especially into the afternoon. Chance of storms overnight with the potential for strong to severe storms. A low of 55, becoming windy with southeasterly gusts up to 35 miles an hour. 75 your high on Friday. A chance of storms in the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. The jackknife semi on the right shoulder of JFK northbound at I-80 exit 452 is causing slight delays currently back to Chandler Road. All lanes are open and the semi is off the road, but still potential for slight delays in this area temporarily. Other than that, the road's looking good. No other accidents, obstructions, or slow-moving traffic. Just stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Hi, this is John Bishop. Since the day I got my driver's license, I've had a check next to the organ and tissue donor box. It's a selfless gift because healthy organ donors can save up to 8 lives. And with tissue donation, dozens more can get the gift of sight, and burn victims can get life-changing skin grafts. Anybody can register, and there's no cost to you or your family. Check that organ donor box next time you renew your license or visit goodguysavelives.com. Learn more about organ and tissue donation today and see how you can save 8 lives at goodguysavelives.com.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
How powerful is Cox Fiber? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Omaha jam like you're all in the same garage. Introducing Cox Fiber, from the company with the fastest download speeds 8 years in a row. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence in Las Vegas, Omaha, Phoenix. Fixed median download speeds Q2 2016 to Q3 2023.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Every Mother's Day, I stress out trying to find that perfect gift. But this year, I finally found it. The Skylight Frame. The Skylight Frame is a touchscreen photo frame your whole family can upload photos to. Even if you're all spread across the country, Mom and Grandma can share your favorite moments. The Skylight Frame is simple to set up and use. In minutes, your family can email photos straight to your mom's Skylight Frame and surprise her with those special moments. And for that perfect Mother's Day unboxing, you can preload the Skylight Frame with your favorite photos for Mom, and it'll be ready when she unwraps her gift. It's the perfect way to touch her heart and bring you all together, wherever you are. It's the gift of connection. And now, as a special limited-time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/radio. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/radio. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightframe.com/radio.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the Rivalries at John Higgins Weather Guard.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, the NFL draft. The Bears are on the clock. They've been on the clock for a while. No suspense, but I think they should take all 15 minutes before they announce who the number one pick is. The NFL will ask them to do that just for some drama.
Yeah, they get down to the final second.
Huge day in Chicago. By the way, if you're in Chicago and you are a Bears fan, you'll be locked into ESPN 1000 with wall-to-wall coverage. As Carmen DeFalco joins us now. Good morning. Good luck today. This is an exciting day for y'all on the radio, but also in the city, I would imagine.
It is, and good morning, gents. Not every Bear fan is on board, as you guys could imagine. There's still plenty. Caleb's got boss written all over him. He paints his nails. He cries in his mom's arms. There's plenty of that out there. I wish I could ever say that a prospect is a sure thing. They're not. We know that. Yeah, guys could bust. If he does, I think it's got very little to do with painting nails or crying in his mom's arms, to be honest. But I think Caleb has a chance to be terrific the way I think most talent evaluators think he has a chance. I think the Bears have done a better job. Certainly the best job they've ever done in their history, preparing their offense, preparing their franchise for a young quarterback. I think they can sort of develop him better than they've ever been able to do. So I'm excited. I think most Bears fans are, but there's still a group that Justin Fields Hive is still pretty vocal. I'm not sure what they were watching. No disrespect to Justin, I really like him. He's a nice young kid who works hard, but I just don't get it. You would have thought he was Justin Herbert. I'm not sure what they were watching, but there's still a group of them out there, and they're pretty vocal and they're pretty noisy, and they think that Caleb will bust. So we'll see. Time will tell.
So this question might hit close to home, Carmen. So I apologize. Who will win more games this year, the Bears or the White Sox?
That's a great question. I mean, it's hilarious, which makes it's not a great question. It's a hilarious question. Let's put it that way. It'll still be the White Sox. But man, they're gonna press it, boys. We've done more research here on like the all-time historically bad teams because it piqued our interest, and you guys might even know it's the 62 expansion Mets, which makes sense. They're the all-time champs for futility. It was, and I believe that was the first year. I hope I have this right. I believe that was the first year in 62 that they expanded the season to 162. There was a meaningless makeup game that they didn't need to play at the end of the year, so they played 161, and the Mets went 41, 20, and 1. I don't know how the tie happened. I'm not sure what the circumstances of that were, but that 62 team won 40 games. The 03 Tigers came close. They won 43. I promise you that this White Sox team is going to challenge that all-time record. That's how futile they are. It's pathetic.
Carm, I want to get back to the draft here in a moment, but on top of the excitement of having not only the overall number 1 pick, but the number 9 pick as well, there was the announcement yesterday about the stadium proposal on the lakefront. Gorgeous looking rendering, but I know that this isn't necessarily going over well when it comes to previous renovations that were made at Soldier Field, when it comes to tax money too. This one's still fresh, obviously. So what are your thoughts on what you heard yesterday?
Okay, I'll set it up this way. And I know we've talked about this before. First of all, I do not go to Bears home games for a few reasons. I mean, it's Soldier Field's a disaster getting in and out of, and I just prefer watching football at home. It doesn't affect me as much in terms of whatever the stadium is like or the location of it. I'm a little surprised that they're going to build where they already are because of the logistical nightmare that is getting in and out of that place. That's not going to change. The renderings do look beautiful, no doubt about it. What does affect me as a Cook County resident is the tax issue that you talked about. There's the debt that remains on the renovation project at Soldier Field, which was conducted just a little shy of 25 years ago here. Mm-hmm. So they just redid their stadium. The debt that is left is about what the cost of the stadium was.
Whoa.
That's living in Chicago. That's Cook County. That's the politics in this state. Everybody, it's pretty infamous, right?
Paying the interest.
I am not a fan at all of any sports billionaire asking the public for money. If they want to rebuild their stadium, build it. Do whatever you want. the Bears, make no mistake, the Bears and any other NFL franchise, without question, has the means to raise capital, to borrow money, to build whatever billion-dollar stadium that they want to build. So it annoys me to no end. What'll end up happening is the state is talking tough right now. First of all, they've already got the Bears. They've already got Mayor Brandon Johnson. They've got the city on board. I don't know what Kevin Warren sold Brandon Johnson, but boy, I mean, Brandon Johnson puckered up real quick. So the city is already on board. They're already going to bend over backwards. My guess is the state will ultimately do the same thing, even though they're talking tough now. That they're saying that these measures will fail miserably in the assembly right now. My guess is ultimately, like what normally happens with these owners, get what they want. They have a tremendous amount of clout. They're very good at getting public support on their side, which is stunning to me. I get it. We love our teams, but they play to that. They use it. They use it as a mechanism to basically screw all of us at the end of the day, because people say, well, they don't really care that much because I don't want my team to leave. So my guess is the state will end up acquiescing, and it's annoying to me. It's frustrating to me. Like I said, as a Cook County resident, because we'll be the ones that ultimately have to, foot the bill for it the way we have. When the hotel tax that they have in place falls short, it is incumbent upon the residents to cover that. Then that's the other thing I hear a lot. I'm like, well, why do you care? You live there. Why do you care about a hotel tax? It's still a public tax.
Yeah.
When it's short, we're the ones that foot it. And what happens if I do want to spend a weekend at a hotel in Chicago in my own town? I have to pay a hotel tax. I mean, it's ludicrous. I mean, it just is. And I don't know when the public in mass will realize that it should never, ever, ever, ever even go to a vote. It should never be incumbent upon the citizens to pay private businesses for to fund their stadiums. But what owners get away with because we love sports so much is amazing, guys.
That's great. Hey, let me look on the heels of that, because Kevin Warren said something yesterday that dawned on me. That I thought, okay, you got Minneapolis hosted a Super Bowl. You've got Indianapolis has all of these events. That's kind of what they're looking at with this stadium. What happened to big time events in Chicago? There is professional sports, but in terms of NCAA regionals on a regular basis, those kind of big events, is that something that Chicago would embrace? A Super Bowl or an NCAA championship game in football or a Final Four, things like those things?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. He sort of tried to play up the fact that we'd be in Super Bowl rotation. That's comical. Yeah. And we know it, I mean, we laughed during the press conference and we were carrying it. He's talking about how everybody would come to Chicago for a Super Bowl. I mean, please. I'm assuming he is aware that the Super Bowl is played in February. That's ludicrous to think that Chicago would become part of any rotation. They certainly would get one. That is the deal that the NFL has made just to get these teams to build new stadiums because it's good for them. So yes, they will get one. In terms of Final Fours, college football championships, yeah, that stuff would be great. And that would be fantastic. They talk about the great economic impact. Virtually every economic study you read from people who really know, you didn't take my word for it. I mean, read what economists for 25 years now have written. There's never a benefit to the greater good. There's never a benefit to the citizens. The only financial benefit at the end of the day is to the owners. That's it. So the idea that somehow because give us your money, so we'll build this because it benefits all of us. At virtually every economic study that has ever been conducted in that field the last 25 years dispels that myth. So, I don't like hearing that from these owners either, because that's quite often, a very common refrain. But in terms of getting more events, it would be great. You'd have year-round concerts there. It's just another venue to have a concert at. And stuff like that is terrific for the people that want to seek it out for major events like that. They certainly can. They tried to play up the idea of opening up this space and expanding the museum campus, and all of a sudden everybody will flock there. 365 days a year. It's just it was a lot of it was a lot of flash and look at this, look how beautiful the renderings are, and we're going to tell you now how you're going to use it as a resident of the city or the surrounding areas. And I think most of us probably saw right through that. The museum campus is beautiful. I wouldn't disagree with that, but other than occasionally going to the museums, taking kids to the museum, going on, I don't know if I'm down in that area 3 times a year, guys.
Yeah.
And nothing, and that's not going to change because a new stadium and more green space is there. It's a hard place to get to. It's just a lot of it to me is completely. And I get why they did it yesterday and the big show of it again is to like distract from the finer points of, oh, and by the way, you're going to give us $1 billion to help us pay for it.
Yep. Yeah, there's the fine print there. Carmen DeFalco, ESPN 1000 of Chicago, joining us. To quote one of the great movies of all time, I say that sarcastically in draft day of Vontae Mack, no matter what, is it for Ryan Poles if there's a receiver? Now, I know Marvin Harrison, the likelihood of him being available at number 9 is slim to none. But if you had a Malik Neighbors or a Rome Odunze as opposed to defensive line help, is it wide receiver no matter what at number 9 if that is available?
I think so. But Byron Murphy's name, all of a sudden, there's like some steam around it. And, it's hard to know what's real this time of year, and what's not, like what's the mis or disinformation and what's really happening, because there's a lot that's thrown out there just to try to take teams or throw teams off of the scent. So there's been a lot of Byron Murphy steam here lately. When I say lately, I'm talking like all of a sudden in the last 48 hours. And so that's kind of curious. Do they view Byron Murphy all of a sudden as the best defensive player in this draft? Or, where is he in terms of their overall top 50 rankings? I think it's wide receiver or bust, but it's interesting that all of a sudden Murphy's name has been tossed out. Look, the Bears could have their pick of not only one of those two guys, but also potentially Dallas Turner. And do they have, or Jared Verse, do they have Byron Murphy rated higher than those two? Maybe they do. I don't know that a lot of teams do, but maybe they do. I still think, though, at the end of the day, guys, it'll be if Neighbors or Dunze will be there. I don't think Neighbors will be, to be honest. I think Dunze is kind of their guy, and it's the one that they've circled. I will tell you that, and there is no smoke, there is no misinformation here. They very much like Neighbors, but this is not a stretch. Everybody does. I mean, They very much like Neighbors in Dunze, and I think Dunze is kind of their guy. And if the board falls the way I think they hope, and the way I think a lot of Bears fans hope, he is still there when they're picking 9, and he is ultimately the pick. But the Byron Murphy stuff is kind of interesting. It's like, man, that's really all of a sudden that's got a lot of steam here in the last 48 hours or so.
I always feel when the Bears select, and this happens with other organizations too, that there's always a name that might surprise you, given his overall draft grade, but then the health concerns. Laiatu Latu from UCLA, if he were available and say the Bears decided to go to the edge route, how do you think that would be viewed among Chicago Bears fans?
That's a good question. Skepticism, I think, maybe because of the injury history. I think everybody would be a little bit leery of that. I think if you've seen him play, it's impressive, though. And we talked to Field Yates on Monday. Field has him as his highest-rated defensive player. He thinks he's the best defensive player in the draft, but obviously the injury concerns are such that he said you could be certain that there are a handful of teams out there that will simply cross him off because of the injury concern, because of the neck injury. So I think fans would probably still be excited about that, but there'd be some you'd be a little cautious in your optimism, knowing that we're just a couple years removed from him. Probably, 2 years ago, he thought he'd never play football again, or 3 years ago. So those concerns, I think, are real. I always try to put myself in position if I were having to make these calls that actually mattered. If I were the GM and how I would handle it. And man, it to me, it might be a cross off. You hate to say that, but it's very real. When he had the kind of injury that he had. So, but I think on talent, fans would be excited. It's a name that I got to be honest, I haven't heard connected to them a lot.
Yeah.
So it would fall into the category of, oh wow, that's surprising, and they were very good about hiding their interest in him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Carmen, as always, we appreciate the perspective in the chat, and enjoy today. It'll be wild in the reactions, especially when that second pick comes up in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, that's when it's going to get interesting. You're right, and franchise altering day, hopefully. So
Yeah,
fingers crossed for all of us here.
Hey, thanks, Carmen.
All right, guys.
Carmen DeFalco from ESPN 1000. Here's where it could get interesting. They might even trade. I mean, if Newton from Illinois, who I love, is you trade back and you can get him like 14, 15, somewhere in that range. But look at this. 3 quarterbacks off the board right away. We don't know what the Giants are going to do. I still think Malik Neighbors, but there's a lot of J.J. McCarthy out there, and Richie's going to blow. His mind's going to go blue. He's already texting me going, I can't handle this. But if you have 4 quarterbacks, Maserati Marv goes to Arizona. Latham goes to the Chargers, which they need a tackle, and he seems like a perfect fit. So you have 4 quarterbacks, Harrison, Latham gone in the top 6 picks. The Titans need a wide receiver. All of a sudden at 8, Atlanta is sitting there, and Joe Alt from Notre Dame, who's, by the way, his dad played for Kansas City.
Damn good lineman.
John, Joe Alt sitting there. Man, do the Bears trade up one spot to get what could be a franchise tackle?
If he's anything like his dad, you get him.
Yeah, so I think 5 through 10 is going to be crazy in this draft. Then after that, it'll probably settle in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the days that you really appreciate the Brett Veach, Andy Reid combos, GMs and coaches that are on the same page.
And that's your takeaway.
That outfox everybody for 3 days.
Must be nice.
And Minnesota's the obvious team right now, where I think a lot of people would agree that at number 5 is where things have a potential of getting a little bit fun and entertaining because of a possible trade up for Minnesota, who has been, I mean, this is, if you're believing a lot of the smoke that you're hearing when it comes to JJ McCarthy, that the Minnesota Vikings would potentially go after him. And then that way, all of a sudden you look at the amount of quarterbacks taken, but then how that shuffles for teams like the New York Giants, where I still think they would be in good position to take a very highly productive wide receiver like Neighbors. But then the offensive line part of it, and especially for Chicago, is interesting because when I think of every move that is made, especially if you're looking at not only Chicago, but Washington, if Minnesota does move up, if you're also looking at the New England Patriots, if you're bringing in those guys and all situations are not created equal, how are you supporting those guys too? Because we remember when, and this is going back again to the COVID draft, it was the Bucs making the biggest offseason news when they got Tom Brady. What was the first pick that they made? They got Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. So they wanted to protect that investment too. So you've got that. If you're the Bears, you've got that rare opportunity to protect that first overall pick investment with whether it be an offensive tackle or a wide receiver. I wouldn't be completely dejected if they go the defensive route, but if a Roma Dunze is available or you do have an alt available, I would much rather prefer those guys because that is an immediate impact on what, like Carmen said, if you're a Bears fan like me, that would be an immediate impact on trying to protect what you hope can be a franchise changer.
Yeah, I think Sewell has already been fitted for his gold jacket.
Mm-hmm. Smart on the lines yesterday, too.
Steve Sewell. Hey, Detroit Lions are out there playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers in the division.
They're making un-Detroit line moves.
But I love, you brought him up, Latu from UCLA. I absolutely love his skill set at 260 pounds to rush the passer. I'm thinking Hunter and Burns are perfect comps. Man, I like him a lot. I do. But I also like Newton of Illinois. This is not necessarily the deepest draft, but if you need a quarterback, offensive tackle, or wide receiver, this is the draft for you. Outside of that, like if you need a running back or a tight end, kind of good luck. Maybe sit out this year, come back next year.
What's your wish list, by the way? Well, I know you got to wait. You got to wait a while, but what?
So we need
wide receiver,
tackle, and wide receiver.
Yeah.
If they can get a Guyton from Oklahoma or the tackle from Washington, I would trade up into the mid-teens. If they can't, then they're probably sitting there at 32, and there will be a wide receiver that falls to them.
Yeah.
I know people are like, man, McConkey from Georgia, that's got the skill set that would be perfect in the Chiefs offense. No, I don't want him.
I've seen him linked to them, or at least in a lot of mocks.
Better off with Phil McConkey.
I would take Mitchell over McConkey.
McConkey would be. It's interesting with some of the smoke and mirrors that we see during this time of sifting through what is real, where you're getting your true information from on the individuals that they really like. And of course, you get an idea of who they're working out. But I think when you get to the back end of that draft too, of what is available, to me, this is where it just becomes an absolute crapshoot, because are you going to best available? Or are you going for an immediate need that you have too? And then when you look at an organization like Kansas City that has so many core pieces, but and Jimmy, that's right though. They have a history, and this is why you look at the importance of Brett Veach and extending him as well. You make these decisions right more times than not.
Winning teams do winning things.
And so I think of people like you and other people I know that are Kansas City Chiefs fans that even when you got to wait, there's a good shot that hell, you might trade out of the first round. I don't know what you're going to do.
Or you get a guy like, hey, this guy's going to help us.
Yeah, you now it's a feeling that I really envy, where you now have a track record where you say, I don't even know if this gets me excited, but I trust the organization because they keep doing it the right way, and they're supporting the right people that they need to support in this roster.
I agree with C-Dog.
Never said that.
He said if Mitchell falls to 32, I'm setting off fireworks. So that's where the Chiefs are. He's the Texas wide receiver. Worthy gets a lot of run because of his speed, what he did at the combine. But Mitchell might have the most upside of any wide receiver in this draft.
Yep.
And it's a position of need. You don't know what's going to happen with Rice. Is there going to be a suspension there? That would be a great value pick at 32. And it would just, I'm sure it would make the quarterback pretty happy. But who, by the way, throughout this entire discussion about the draft, Patrick Mahomes has screwed up the draft from here on out because of what happened in the trading up and how everybody is looking for that player.
Yeah.
Hey,
he's in Lincoln
for an hour when they drafted him at Richie's basement, I was like, man, I don't like him.
Got Alex Smith.
But then when I was driving home, I was listening to Sirius, and I heard Andy Reid do an interview. And he talked about why they drafted him, because I wasn't even thinking, man, he's going to redshirt while Alex Smith plays his last year in Kansas City. For an hour, I didn't like Mahomes. And I heard Andy Reid mention what he liked about him and what they were going to do with him. And I was like, I'm on board. So, it is a crapshoot. But Mahomes and the drafting up and everybody looking for Mahomes, I go back to what I said at the beginning. You need to focus on where they go.
Yep.
Mahomes probably would have been really, really good. He's great where he went.
Yeah.
And that was to Kansas City in an offense and a coach that could also put him in a better position to succeed. And he didn't have to play right away.
Right.
He went to Dallas.
He got to redshirt behind Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Not many quarterbacks that go that high are able to do that.
There's a lot of people that always say every time the Chiefs and Bears will lock up and they ask me, well, how do you feel about that? You could have had him. He wouldn't have been that good in Chicago because of the situation that they were in. That's not the Patrick Mahomes.
Trubisky, he worked out well for him. We got to take a break. Next hour, Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple will stop by. The spring game coming up on Saturday. We're out at Oscars today at noon for a round table for about an hour, round table to square table, to discuss everything that's gone on in the spring and what we'll be looking forward to on Saturday with all of you. The Happer Show and USC will be out there from 10 to 6. We'll be out there at noon on 1620 The Zone. Hey, it doesn't take a ticket to get in to watch us and hang out with us at Oscars today. But if you want to go to the spring game, you want to go see the Royals. Last night got another big victory over the Blue Jays. Or you want to go out and see the Storm Chasers. They got another big night. Wherever you want to go, Tickets for Less is your source for games, concerts, shows. Locally, they are the place to stop by when you need tickets, because they have the best prices, the best selection, upfront pricing, and no annoying service fees at checkout. The price that you see is the price that you pay. Isn't that interesting? The best part, here's what you need to do. When you use the promo code THEZONE at checkout, you're going to get even more savings at ticketsforless.com. So find the seats to your favorite sporting event, show, concert, whatever. Go to Tickets for Less. That is the source, and use my promo code THEZONE at checkout.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Attention Omaha parents, if you're looking for a fun, safe, affordable summer camp experience for your kids, look no further than Camp Croc. Located at Croc Center Omaha, just off of Kennedy Freeway and Q Street, Camp Croc runs weekdays from the end of May through August 9th. Kids ages 6 through 12 will enjoy all kinds of activities, from sports and character building to swimming and STEM projects. Plus, breakfast, lunch, and snacks are included. For more details, go to omahacroc.org. That's omahakroc.org.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
What should we do with the broke propeller? What should we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
I get by with a little help from my friends.
Ringo Starr and his all-star band. With friends, Steve Lukather from Toto. From Men at Work, Colin Hay. From Edgar Winter Band, Edgar Winter. From Average White Band, Hamish Stewart.
I got work to do.
September 12th, the Astro Amphitheater. On sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
I've never seen this. John Deneen from Saul's Jewelry and Loan. I've never seen the price of gold as high as it is right now, which means you could be sitting on a gold mine yourself. Bring us in your broken gold chains, gold rings, and diamond jewelry. You'll never get a better price for those items. Saul's knows jewelry, and we've been around. And we've never seen gold this high. Sell your gold with confidence at Saul's Jewelry and Loan at any of our 6 convenient locations.
Find it all at Saul's, Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Mario Street Tacos or steak and chorizo queso blanco enchiladas can only be found in one place. Fernando's. Great Mexican food, awesome margaritas, and a wonderful family atmosphere. Fernando's, Omaha's favorite Mexican for more than 30 years.
The road to the NBA Finals starts now. And guess what, new customers? If you're new to FanDuel, you can go on your own playoff run with $150. All you got to do, this is simple. Just place a $5 bet. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, that you can use, Nick, throughout the entire course of the NBA playoffs.
And you can go the old school route. You can just take a look at the line, bet on that. But that's not as much fun, too. You got so many ways that you can get on the action. 3-pointers made. You can go with the over-under. You can go with even first basket score and so much more. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. That's FanDuel.com/zone to get started today. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
This has nothing to do with a failed onside kick. I don't know why you start the season in Ireland. I saw Farmageddon. Farmageddon is going to Dublin. So
Irish Farmageddon.
So it was Nebraska Northwestern, and then we had Notre Dame Navy.
Mm-hmm.
This year is Florida State Georgia Tech, and then we're going to get Kansas State Iowa State. So Farmageddon is going to Ireland.
After the snow last year, they're like, no, we're not going to play them at home again and lose.
I haven't had a chance to talk to. I got a couple friends that are Iowa State fans. I haven't had a chance to talk to them, but I got to assume they're a little bent out of shape on this one, and I wouldn't blame them.
Iowa State?
Yeah,
That's
Iowa
a
State
road
fans.
game.
Well, and anybody
I'd rather
that
go to Dublin than Manhattan.
Well,
Say
that's
that
a
from
good.
experience.
That's a fair
Wait a
point.
minute. I've never had a car. I've never had a car.
Aggieville compared to Guinness. You go to the Guinness Brewery.
I know multiple friends who have had their cars pissed on or
Well,
scratched.
sure.
You're a KU guy, so stop.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But I think both K-State and Iowa State fans alike, don't you want to play that game at either's venue and not have to go?
I don't care
out
who's
to
playing.
Dublin.
I just don't. I said this when Nebraska and Northwestern go there. I don't get it. I don't get why starting in Ireland. Why not go to the Bahamas and play?
Oh, remember that bowl game?
The stadium's a little bit different compared to Ireland.
It's a little loosely
but where would you
operated there.
If you're an Iowa State fan, where would you rather go, the Bahamas or Ireland to kick off the season? I just don't know why you would start. Why are we starting the season in Ireland?
Have you been to Ames in August? It is the Bahamas. Come on.
I thought it's snowing. I've never been there when it's warm.
That's North Dakota. In August, I'm talking about.
No, I know what I'm saying. I said what I said.
Armageddon.
Yeah,
goes to Ireland.
The Irish version.
Hey,
do you think they know now? Do you think the folks in Dublin realize that they're getting Farmageddon?
As a cat head.
Yeah. They love the Midwestern people, man.
They do. And from what I understand, they hold on to the flags at the airport for those welcoming teams. Apparently, that welcome Nebraska fans in the Dublin airport had been there for almost until the next one too. It was there for an almost entire year from people I knew that traveled to Dublin post Northwestern Nebraska.
Explain this Runza to me.
They said, yeah, they still have the signage around the airport of welcoming Nebraska
I don't like
fans.
the idea of starting in Ireland.
I don't either.
Better than.
All right.
Go Cyclones.
What does it do to teams that start in Ireland? Makes a long season.
Ooh,
long season.
All for it.
You want to go to Ireland? Go on one of those trips. You hear Crash Davis promote it all the time. Just go on one of the trips with him. Like go with Cerise Cole from Channel 6. They're always promoting. Dave Weber will take you to Ireland.
Don't those people usually go on
fishing
fishing
trips? There and
trips?
start the season in football.
You can fish in Ireland.
All right, Sarah Baker Hansen joins us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you've heard me talking about Lindley Clothing, but did you know about their newest edition? It is Well Suited, right next door to Lindley Clothing. As a matter of fact, they're connected by a tunnel. It's not a dark tunnel. It's a bright tunnel. When you go to Well Suited, it is super bright. It almost feels like spring. So you're looking for the latest in sportswear, a suit, sport coat, jeans. You can find it at Well Suited. So you've got plenty of options now, men, to get yourself the right fit, and they will find the right fit for you. Doesn't matter if you're like, I'm a little bit long, I'm a little bit short, I got a big inseam, I got long arms. If you have all of those things, but Lindley Clothing, they have figured out how to fit us men. They've been doing it for nearly 9 decades. Top-notch customer service and the best brands. Bugatti to Samuelson to Peter Millar. Hello. That's not a line combination that was playing for the Canucks. That is a line combination that you can put yourself into at Lindley Clothing and Well Suited. Check them out today. They're conveniently located in the Linden Market at 132nd and West Dodge.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing, time-saving traffic center. An accident has the right lane blocked JFK northbound at Highway 370. This has traffic backed up right now to Cape Hart Road. You will need to stay left in this area temporarily. Some slow traffic I-680 southbound from Maple to Dodge right now, as well as I-80 eastbound between Q Street and 84th. And that usual Dodge westbound morning traffic very slow right now between 108th and 120th. Please be safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
A Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Trees. Are they all the same? Not at Lanahaw. Grown from a quality seed source, handcrafted in our local farms for generations, and acclimated to our tough Midwestern climate, Lanahaw's trees are different. Simply put, they're better. Much like our trees, we take great pride in being homegrown. Visit our garden center to find your next tree today. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Ah, spring in Nebraska. The birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and the helmets are cracking. It's spring, and in Nebraska, that means football. Head to Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill at 173rd and Center today for our 1620 The Zone spring game lunch. The Connor Happer Show and Sportsmanlike Conduct are broadcasting live all show long, and at noon, all of our hosts will be together for a 1620 The Zone roundtable unlike anything you've heard before. It's spring game week at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill with 1620 The Zone.
Every Mother's Day, I stress out trying to find that perfect gift. But this year, I finally found it. The Skylight Frame. The Skylight Frame is a touchscreen photo frame your whole family can upload photos to. Even if you're all spread across the country, Mom and Grandma can share your favorite moments. The Skylight Frame is simple to set up and use. In minutes, your family can email photos straight to your mom's Skylight Frame and surprise her with those special moments. And for that perfect Mother's Day unboxing, you can preload the Skylight Frame with your favorite photos from Mom, and it'll be ready when she unwraps her gift. It's the perfect way to touch her heart and bring you all together, wherever you are. It's the gift of connection. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/radio. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/radio. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightframe.com/radio.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, don't forget, this week's Zone Deal is exciting new restaurant in Omaha, Circo, located at 192nd and Q with an ever-evolving menu. Circo is a dynamic fine dining experience. With this week's deal, you'll receive two $25 vouchers, $50 value for just $25. It goes on sale tomorrow at 9 a.m. You can get all the details at 1620thezone.com. Perfect transition.
Just jamming out over here.
Yeah, talk a little food. And welcome in Sarah Baker Hansen here on the show. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. Are you winged out now? Are we beyond the wings? Because we're going to be at Oscars today, and we didn't know if there was a gold-plated wing that we could present them for winning the bracket.
I don't have a gold-plated wing, but if I would, that would be really awesome.
Okay. Well, we'll be there from 10 to 6. So if you want to, if you still want to get some wings and you haven't gotten your fill on that yet, well, that's where we'll be.
Sounds good. I think I'm on a wings-free diet for a couple months.
Hey, no coincidence. I'm noticing since the wing bracket came out that wing stops are popping up all over town. I don't know if there's any correlation.
I'm sure that's why. Yeah. They asked me my timing, and so we coordinated that.
Hey, so I want to first start with this. So I saw a study. We've talked about this as COVID impacted the restaurant industry in terms of staffing. And there are some places here in Omaha that still are struggling being fully staffed, so that impacts your experience there. But there is restaurants that are offering 24-hour service fell 18% from 2020 to 2024. I watched this yesterday, and the panel got into a debate. Do you think the 24-hour service, which we have fewer and fewer in this town, staff shortage, or people just aren't staying out as late as they once did?
I really truly think it's both. I think I remember in Omaha, well, we don't have very many late night places to begin with. So that's a pretty small group of places, which, I think there is a certain group of people, there always are, who go to concerts or sporting events. And want to go out to eat afterward. And so I think those places, I think they closed earlier during COVID. And I think a lot of those places, like for example, places in the Blackstone district or a couple places on South 13th Street and several places downtown, still are back to serving until like 11 p.m. or midnight. But a lot of places, I've noticed this across the board, every other week when I write my review, I have to look up, the address, the phone number, and the hours. And I feel like more and more restaurants in Omaha close at 8. And this is a trend that I've noticed from sort of 2021 on. Like there are very few, and in fact, the review that I have coming out later today, it's out in Millard. And I was shocked to see that it was open several nights until 11 p.m. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're open that late. Because so many places now just simply close at 8. And for somebody like me and Matthew, who often works until 6 or 6:30, like we have to hustle to get to a restaurant by 8. And so when I look at what I'm reviewing, I always, I always send them a text or leave them a note, closes at 8. So we got to be on top of it.
Have you noticed if you've interacted with patrons of these establishments that they've learned to adjust to that? It kind of, as Gary said, it's almost like the new norm that even when you go out to a bar on a weekend, it's kind of embedded in your brain of, I know there's very few selections now that stay open until actual, the legal closing time. Have people just from your understanding just kind of adjusted to that, and that's just the new norm that people now have kind of accepted?
I think a lot of people have, and I don't know if people would actually prefer that or if they just accept it because it's how it is. I know I definitely at times seek out restaurants that are open and serve food until 9 or 10, because if you're doing something, like if you're going to a movie, for example, and the movie starts at 7, you either have to eat dinner at 5 with the retirement crowd, or you have to eat dinner at 9. And so the places that close at 8 are just kind of like out. And so it kind of has created a little bit of a different scenario. You either have to kind of make your plan according to what area of town you're going to be in, and you really do have to look at those times. Because I've definitely gone to restaurants before and showed up, and they were about to close and we couldn't eat. So, I do think it probably does have to do with staffing, but I think also it probably just has to do with the fact that, maybe the majority of people do dine out a little bit earlier than they used to. Like, I think it has gotten tougher to get, for example, a 6:30 reservation at restaurants in Omaha. Like when I look at restaurant reservations, there are 5 o'clocks and there are 8 o'clocks. There's nothing between 6 and 7, hardly ever, unless you're really booking early.
Why do you think? So I agree with you. There are a couple of places that I really like to go to that, if you're in before 8, you're good, but they start shutting down at 8. Why do you think 8 is the selected time to close?
I don't exactly know. I feel like people kind of think, dinner time on weeknights probably is over by 8, like for most people, or for families, people are eating, I think people are eating closer to 6 or 6:30. And honestly, like, during COVID times, shut your laptop at 5, cocktail hour begins immediately. There's nothing else to do. So I think probably a lot of people adjusted their schedules a little bit. And I know, like I said, a lot of times it really has forced me and Matthew to go out earlier. For example, last weekend we had a dinner reservation at 7:45. And so, but we were ready by like 5:30, and we're like, well, what are we going to do? Like, we don't want to just sit at home for 2 hours until our reservation. So we went and had a cocktail before dinner, which in the old days, we would have done that after dinner. And so it even is kind of a switch to, how we do things. That could also be a sign of me getting older, which I don't want to think about. But this could be the truth.
Sarah, I know we see them all throughout the year with restaurants popping up and new developments. A lot of that dictates where you see restaurants and what time they do. But as we start thinking about patio season, we start thinking about some other options too. Is this a time that you do typically start to see new restaurants, new bar and grills, new patio options start to pop up when it does come to the newer restaurants that we expect throughout the year?
Yeah.
Is this a popular time for that?
Oh, for sure. I think the best time to open a restaurant in Omaha is in spring. People are, the days are longer. People are really excited to get out. They want to go try new things and do different stuff, or even revisit their old favorites. And I've noticed, around the old market, the past couple of weeks, all the patios are full. And it's cool too, because, there's some new restaurants that have opened on the east side of 10th Street there. And they both have outdoor patios that I think are going to prove to be super popular this year. I realized the other week, someone asked me the question of what were my favorite Omaha patios. And so I went to my own blog and I typed it in the search, and I realized that I have not done an updated patio story since the launch of my blog. So I feel like it's probably high time for a patio story, because we're getting to the season, and people want to know. And like I said, I think there are just a bunch of new patios around Omaha that probably I need to go sit on.
Hey, we also need to add rooftop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get more of those.
Yeah.
I think
there are several rooftops.
Yeah, we need more rooftop dining in Omaha.
Agreed.
I'm trying to think, like, the only, off the top of my head, the only rooftop dining experience I can think of is Pitch in West Omaha. Can you think of others?
And I know it's under construction. It's more of a bar, but 1912 in Benson.
Oh yeah,
Yes, you can sit on the rooftop.
And you obviously have food there too. But I know they're temporarily closed because I think they're doing some type of renovation.
I think they're reopening to something different.
Oh, okay.
Off the record.
Okay.
I don't know if I should say that on live radio.
It doesn't matter. It's said.
A rebrand or just a rename?
I probably shouldn't.
Okay.
Probably shouldn't divulge that. One of my sources might be listening.
Okay, so on the heels of that, because I was at Dante's recently. And man, they're coming up on maybe they're getting close to, they're like 17, 18 years they've been open. And so we talk about all these new places opening, but man, that list of restaurants that have closed in this city in 2024, and I mean, we're only a few months into this year, are getting longer and longer. And I'm thinking, man, that is a place that has prospered through a lot of rough times to stay open. And there aren't many in this town anymore that are like, hey, we've been open for 15 plus years. And I'm thinking, what is the key to places like that this ongoing prosperity, they're able to withstand newcomers into the same field that is offering the same thing they are, and just the staffing, people aren't out as much, the economy, those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I was just looking at Dante's website. They opened in 2009. So they have been around for more than a decade now, going on 15 years. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think there were a lot of restaurants that opened around that time. And some are still here and some are not, but I can think of a handful of more kind of high-end restaurants that are still comfortable. And I think one thing that Nick does at Dante so well, and really is one of the best in the city, I think, at really, when Dante opened in 2009, it was very trendy to say you were like local and seasonal. Like it was a thing, you have I remember a lot of restaurants like Lot 2 in Benson and Grape Bloom who have these sort of like chalkboards in the restaurant that listed all the local suppliers that they worked with. Like I remember that being a big moment when I started writing about food in Omaha. And Dante was one of those restaurants that did that. And Dante is still doing that. And I think that focus on kind of local seasonal eating has really served them well. And they do list suppliers and their partners, but they don't make a big deal out of it really. It's just kind of become part of who they are. And I think the diner has come to really have high expectations of the kitchen because of that. And the kitchen is always able to meet those expectations with really great, I mean, just a couple weeks ago, they had a post of a chef and owner, Nick Strawhecker, holding a big basket of ramps, which are this like amazing kind of first produce of the season, sort of onion. And, it's so cool. Like that is something that you're probably only going to find at maybe one or two restaurants in Omaha that are really hyper focused on local and seasonal ingredients. And so that's really cool to me. I've always really liked that. And I appreciate that they still do that and that they really, it's part of their DNA now. It's not just a trend.
Yeah, Nick and Seth do a great job over there.
Yeah.
Sarah,
And I think,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
To the same effect, I think in a different type of food and a different atmosphere, but Boiler Room. Tim Nicholson, who's been at Boiler Room for a decade, does that too, and really keeps things fresh and interesting and seasonal and local and all of that. And I think the diners palette has kind of grown with those restaurants, and now there's a whole bunch of people in Omaha who go to those restaurants because they've learned to love that.
Sarah, this kind of goes back to the new developments around the area that are attracting restaurants, and we're seeing that area between Millard North and Boys Town blow up. We've already seen the Charlestons that was in the First National Bank Parkway area move over there, and now Mahogany's over there. And I believe Mahogany is either on the verge of opening that new building or they already have. I know they had a soft opening not that long ago. It's odd to me just because I've known Mahogany to be in that spot. I've known that Charleston's to be in that spot too.
Yeah.
I'm a little perplexed on this one. I have mixed feelings about it because it looks like it's a much better area for them. It looks like that's going to be a thriving new entertainment area, but you always remember some of those spots that are kind of hard to find even. And maybe that's another reason why they tried to get out of that spot. But I mean, two staples in that area that have just moved essentially a little bit south.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Like, I'm also a little bit perplexed by that. Like, I read about both of those moves and I get it. Like, maybe they wanted to refresh the dining room. Maybe there were some, things they could put in those spaces that they didn't have at their other spaces. But really, like, the location to me, just from looking at it on paper, seems like kind of a wash, right? Like, are there really that many more people that little distance apart that are going to be there? Or I don't know. Like, I don't really know why they made that move. Maybe there was some incentive that they were given to do that. I don't know. But yeah, it struck me as a little bit random too.
All right, we'll get you out on this, and you're on the clock now. Has nothing to do with draft day. Sal in our stream wants to know if he can get a plate recommendation at the new place in Dundee. He's going there this weekend for date night.
The Uda Lolly?
Yes.
Well, I've only been there as a casual diner once, and I only had a cocktail. So I don't have any recommendations yet, but I've seen a lot of buzz on it online. And I think probably, the thing to get is the renewed Mark's mac and cheese. I mean, I think that has to be the signature item on the menu, but I'm sure I'll find out at some point soon.
Always an awesome conversation. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Bye.
That's Sarah Baker Hansen. Kind of feels lost not to talk about wings for the first time
in
3 months.
And especially with what we have going on today.
A couple of things here in the response. So Justin writes into the Equity Bank inbox. He thinks because the closing at 8, you can clean up and other things to get home around 9-ish. Staffing has to play into that, I bet.
Yeah. Am I wrong though? This was even before COVID, and especially in the Exarban Village area, because I remember after hockey games going to Dudley's when that was still a thing. Now backlot. But even going to DJs and other places in Exarban Village, it seemed like, and this actually goes back to when Omaha Hockey played at the CHI Health Center, and we would go over to, why am I completely blanking on? Come on, the corner right there, over by CHI Health Center.
DJs?
No, other side, right by the interstates. Mat Factory. Jeez, just having a senior moment, and I'm not even a senior. That they started phasing out those longer hours too, where we would go and by the time we got done with the game, or do you have to get our order in quickly? And I get the kitchen's going to close at a certain time, but service itself started like they would come by and say last call earlier and earlier. And this was all before COVID. But and you're obviously very familiar with the Exarban Village too. I think even before COVID, you started seeing that on Fridays and Saturdays of, all right, it's closing time. Then you look at your watch like, man, we've been here that long. And they're like, wait a minute. It's 10:30. And so I think COVID probably had more of a wide reach with that, but it was definitely something that was already trending that way before we got to COVID.
Hey, I think we need to make this a weekly segment. So we had Andy Kendi on last week, and he told us that he was a former server at Chili's.
Man, he helped open a couple locales too.
A couple of restaurants. So celebrities, what their first job is. John Higgins chimes in. Where do you think Higgy worked as a teenager in this town?
Not the zone. Didn't exist yet.
I mean, I think of John Higgins, not only the referee, but more importantly, as the roofery. So I assumed he was getting his hands dirty, doing some manual labor.
Yeah, learning.
It was in the
learning.
it was in the food industry.
Okay.
He worked at this place as a teenager.
Was he a busboy at Chi-Chi's?
Wow, that's going way back. Hey, how good were those margaritas?
Chi-Chi's was good. Chi-Chi's salsa is really good.
Mama's Pizza.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's
the goat of all pizzas too.
That's where your NIL deal is.
Nice. Does he still got some pull over there?
Oh,
I mean, he's got pull everywhere now. But
he does.
Allen Fieldhouse.
Just drop his name. So if you're going to Mama's Pizza,
I
they go, hey, I know one of the celebrity former workers here.
Did he say? Did
John
he specify
Higgins.
what he did?
No.
Okay. He tossed some dough.
He was a greeter. He met you at the door.
Yeah.
He parked cars.
Serves him well.
It was crazy. They didn't even have valet parking at Mama's.
But he
John
just
would
did
just
it.
park your cars.
Yeah.
Walk around, teen up.
To
people
add that
randomly.
little extra something right there. That personal touch right there. Good job, Higgy.
All right. Stephen M. Sipple is coming up next. Brian Edwards a little bit later. It is NFL draft day. Plus, we're going to circle back in the next hour to Reggie Bush's Heisman given back. It's not a vindication. It's just about the times, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to start like making some wrongs in sports right, I think there are a couple that we need to do as well. It's just wild that OJ dying got Reggie's Heisman back.
Mm-hmm. Well, he threatened to steal it, so he was going to grab it for him. He was going to do the dirty work for him.
He didn't kill that story. It's next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, if you'd like to get something back and it's not necessarily a shiny trophy, well, it might be. Mentality is the place for you. You've got low testosterone, and you're wondering, no, I don't. Well, let me tell you about some of the symptoms. Folks at Mentality have walked me through this whole process. So you have lack of focus, you're irritable, you got some belly fat that is developing that you in the past you said, you know what, gain a couple of pounds, I'm going to lose a couple of quick pounds doing it with exercise. Or you have no interest in your personal life with your spouse, your kids, nothing. Nothing's going right and you're kind of stuck. Well, you may have the symptom of low testosterone, and there is a way out of that to get you back to feeling like you should. Men, Mentality is the place for you. They've been helping men for many years throughout the Omaha area. They're located right off of West Center, 117th and West Center. So they're right here in town with their board-certified physicians and their FDA-approved testosterone treatment that'll get you back on the path to feeling the best. Set up a physical. They'll go through the whole process. They'll sit down with you. You're not a number. You're a name, and they want to help you with the right treatment to get you back to feeling well and being the man that you should be and get rid of that low T. You can do it with my good friends over at Mentality. Check out their website today at lowtusa.com.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. You get a lot of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk. Not junk at all. 1620 The Email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Cloudy, mild, and breezy for your Thursday with a 30% chance of spotty showers and thunderstorms, especially into the afternoon. Chance of storms overnight with the potential for strong to severe storms. A low of 55, becoming windy with southeasterly gusts up to 35 miles an hour. 75 your high on Friday. A chance of storms in the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KUTV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. An accident JFK northbound at Highway 370 still has the right lane blocked and has traffic backed up right now to Cape Hart Road. Just proceed cautiously and stay left if you will be in this area soon. Some slow traffic I-80 eastbound right now between Q Street and 84th. And that usual Dodge morning traffic picking up eastbound right now between 180th and 144th, and westbound between 108th and 120th. Please be safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
I have never seen this before. Hi, John with Saul's Jewelry and Loan. The price of gold is the highest it's ever been. Now is the time to get the best price on your broken jewelry, chains, and diamond jewelry. Saul's has been around a while, and trust us, now's the time. Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel free. Just text radio to 64,000. Text radio to 64,000.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. While leaning over the fence, your neighbors said you could save money bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. Your neighbor leaned over a little too much and broke your fence. Dumb news. Somehow fence wood is more expensive than wood. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and to plant really tall shrubs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook, and the road to the NBA Finals starts right now. New customers on the FanDuel Sportsbook can go on their own playoff run with $150. Just place any $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, to use during the NBA playoffs. So take a look at individual games that might be coming up, series-long bets that you like to bet on, or even who's going to win it all. I suggest, of course, the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Or you could even take the Nuggets over the Lakers in 4 games or 5 games, however you want to play it. Just check out the FanDuel Sportsbook. You could use those options or any of your own on the FanDuel Sportsbook. All you have to do is head to FanDuel.com/Happer and get started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
You're sitting with a couple of pals at Backlot Tap House in Exarban Village when your server brings up this perfectly cooked smash burger. The smell of a juicy beef patty sends a waft of aroma right up your nose, and your eyes instinctively close because, well, awesomeness. Your friends get their orders, and you just kind of look at each other and think, yeah, this is going to be good. Backlot Tap House with 30 beers on tap, happy hour every day, trivia nights, live music, and more. Exarban Village and BacklotTapHouse.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we'll track down Stephen M. Simple. I'm sure he's doing something important.
Spring game week. Every day's important.
Yeah. Only thing they can add to my excitement about the spring game. I will watch. I will talk about it. I will observe. I'm not down on the spring game, but it's just
boring is good.
I don't think it'll be boring.
Uneventful. Nothing bad.
Yeah. No injuries. Get in and out. The only thing that would excite me is that Dylan Edwards is on the sideline.
No turnovers.
Or Dylan Edwards is actually playing the game.
That was quick.
Not true if you're just tuning in. Hey, are we comfortable to admit out loud, because Nebraska got beat for a recruit that I really, really liked at offensive tackle, Jack Lang from Eureka, Missouri. He committed to Mizzou. Are we, and I know I'm saying this, and the fan base that I am saying this to, are we in a world where we can admit that Mizzou football is good? Jimmy, you're biased, so you're out of this conversation.
Can't say anything about Dorkwitz.
But I liked Eli Drinkwitz at Appalachian State. But I looked at the hire and I said, that's a hire that keeps Mizzou like 10, 11, 12 in the SEC. Maybe they become the 7th best team. But the way that they're recruiting, And they're coming off an 11-win season. Now, Ohio State may have laid down in their bowl game,
but they still won.
But look at this. So Drinkwitz, they were 6-7 in 2022. And he was on the hot seat, which is crazy. Mizzou's trying to be a football school because they've struggled being a basketball school.
Yeah.
But Mizzou stuck with him, and they won 11 games. They won that game in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. They've got their quarterback in Cook. They've got Burden III, who's going to be a high NFL guy. They're coming back. I think that Mizzou football in 2024 is a real college football playoff contender. And here's what I say, are we comfortable with Mizzou football being good? The way that they have recruited and the way that they continue to recruit, man, I don't know if we can handle this. That Mizzou football is like, I don't want to say back, but Mizzou football, I think, is on a stretch of being really, really good. That was a good pickup for them because I really liked him for Nebraska.
And with Quan Lacey commitment as well, it seems like he's pushing a lot of the right buttons on the recruiting trail too. And so that, coupled with the fact that it just seems like there's a lot of momentum with people in the Missouri football product with the announcement of the stadium edition as well. There's a lot of positive news with Missouri football. And they're showing that they can win football games too. Comfortable. I'm far enough removed from the Big 8, Big 12 days of Nebraska and Missouri, because as Nebraska got out of the Big 12 and Missouri made the move over to the SEC, those were fun. I mean, you could even say that was becoming more of a rivalry than any of the other, because look at who was always competing for the North Division. And I think there was a lot of lasting animosity, but once both teams went on their own path and both teams struggled in their respective conferences when they left each other, at least for me, I think it's impressive. I don't hold any animosity. It doesn't make me want to puke seeing Missouri all of a sudden having a trajectory like they have right now that looks like it's going to lead to a lot of wins for years to come.
It's not good for Nebraska and
it's coming into
other
the state.
Places that have jumped into St. Louis and Kansas City to try and pluck products. I mean, Michigan was being blocked at the border, and they pivoted, and so they went into Missouri. I mean, they went to Kansas City, they went to St. Louis. We've always talked about, why can't Nebraska get into St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've been a little bit more aggressive in the last cycle and a half in recruiting, and they're active in Kansas City, but we'd like them to be more active, even though they had, I think Neil Smith's son's going to be a nice player at Nebraska, very underrated. And, he was a legacy, but Nebraska still has a presence in Kansas City. Mizzou rising up and Mizzou becoming a real football school where they've gone all in on the NIL. They've got a coach that loves recruiting. He's kind of quirky, man. And they also are attractive in the portal. They got, Clemson, Florida. Where is Smith is from Georgia. They got key pickups in the portal. So Mizzou football, I think, is here to stay. And they're going to be in the mix to be in the college football playoff this year. That is wild to say. If you would have told me that 2 years ago, I thought you're absolutely friggin' crazy. But they're recruiting at a major level. They got they lose their leading rusher. They lose two of the better cornerbacks in the SEC last year. But they got the number one defensive end prospect in the country. And they're going to be preseason 10. And they finished, 10th last year in the poll? But that's a good pickup from Jack Lang yesterday to stay home, because I think Nebraska was Nebraska had him up on the top of the board at the offensive tackle spot, but they kept him in state, and we haven't been saying that much about Mizzou. I'm like, hey man, why can't Mizzou keep that guy? They're right in the middle of two major metropolitan areas. They're keeping guys in state, and that's scary.
And it's a stark contrast to when we saw the end of the Gary Pinkel area. When Gary Pinkel had success in the Big 12, but then what was it, 2015 would have been his last season where Missouri football was. And then you had Barry Odom, and then you get to Eli Drinkwitz. The overall
Miss Woody Woodenhofer.
What's that?
Miss Woody Woodenhofer.
I always
Bob Stoll.
like Larry Smith. Larry Smith seemed like a nice guy. I'll never forget that
Bill Snyder
1997
loved
game,
him.
though. But he just seemed like a good guy. Where they were amongst all of the SEC powers, and especially, I would have thought, if you had told me this a couple of years ago with college football and the changes that were taking place, that teams like Missouri that were having a tough time staying above water in the SEC, you would think they would be even more buried. This is why I give Eli Drinkwitz a lot of credit with what they've been able to do and adapting to how they can take advantage of the transfer portal, but the way that they're recruiting, because it just seems like, I don't remember, and Gary, maybe you know this better than I do, I don't remember Missouri being in the state of Nebraska all that often. When you go back to some of those previous coaching staffs
Once every
too.
2 years to lose.
yeah. But as far as recruiting
Except
and try to tap into a lot of Midwest talent, and you're seeing Eli Drinkwitz, having a regular presence now in the state of Nebraska and Omaha. So I think you're seeing a lot of pivoting on maybe looking at not only recruiting your own territory, but looking at some maybe non-traditional areas of tapping into talent, knowing that you're very close to Omaha, you're very close to some of those areas that are now all of a sudden producing a lot of Division I talent, and you're able to present them not only a place that's close to home, but a program in the SEC that's on the rise. There's a lot of things that they're doing. Again, I go back to, they're pushing a lot of buttons, and 2 years ago, I would have thought there's no chance that they would be on that path.
You look at, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Gary Pinkel, but you can't deny the end of his tenure outside of that 0-7 when 15 they were rolling.
Yep.
So
a good Texas pipeline back then.
Well, 5 of their last 8 years, they won 10 or more games. I mean, they were in back-to-back SEC championship games in their second and third year.
They had early success in the SEC.
They made a poor hire in Barry Odom. But here's the thing where maybe NIL came into play. And maybe the COVID year came into play. So Drinkwitz, his first year was the COVID year. Now the SEC played a really robust schedule. They didn't take any time off, so they played 10 games that year. But he went 5 wins, 6 wins, 6 wins. The thing that kept him around is they were recruiting at a high level. So it wasn't like they were 45th, 49th in the country in recruiting. They were winning some head battles. Patience at Mizzou, as they're trying to, fix basketball. And, oh, by the way, we want to be a football school. For him to pop with 11 wins, man, I think patience, NIL, and a COVID respite of, okay, COVID was a little bit rough. We got to recover from that. I think Mizzou football is in a good spot. And I know I'm probably going to get scorned for that, and you're not allowed to say that around here. But I like what they're doing, and I like Drinkwitz. I think he's a really good football coach that's perfect for Mizzou because he's different. He's quirky. He'll say things like he's not afraid. He's not backing down from the big boys. John does not agree with my Missouri football take.
What's he say?
Nope. Into the Equitable Bank inbox. I will not admit that a bunch of toothless mouth breathers are good.
Oh,
hell yes. A man after my own heart.
Jimmy, is that your burner account?
Keep your fireworks stand, porn shop, walnut bowl shops.
Hey, I want Nebraska.
Hey.
I want Nebraska and Mizzou to play in
Me
football.
too.
You know
I
what?
want them to be in Arrowhead. I want them to split the stadium. Just do it one time. Half the stadium is black and gold. The other half is scarlet and cream.
You know why? And Matt chimes in on the
other
Echo
half
Bank
Nebraska
inbox
fans.
to remind us, and Nebraska still owns the Bell.
Does anybody know where that's at?
No.
Kenny?
Ross says
If we asked Matt Rule that, do you think he'd know?
They went all in on NIL, allowing them to become elite. Strange how that's happened. If you spend the right money,
yes.
Just don't spend money to be spending money. How many times you guys told that to your wife? But spend the right money.
It's usually the other way
when she
around.
goes, like when your wife goes to Target,
Right.
Nick, you say spend the right money. Just don't go spend money to be spending money.
Oh, Gary, if you only knew.
Well, that's
If you only knew.
Target and Costco are places where you just don't walk in going, I'm going to get one item.
Hey, you just mentioned 2 of them.
Yeah.
That are a constant topic of conversation around the old Handley household. Like, I thought you were going there to get just some water. $250 later.
No.
Hey, we might need this in a month.
There were 3 things on the list.
An 83-inch television.
Yeah.
We're going to need it.
Where the hell are we going to put it? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Ross is right here. Look at Mizzou's schedule. If they get past Bama, which
Let's go, Todd.
Which they should, they'll probably be unbeaten headed into the SEC championship. They go Murray State, Buffalo, BC.
Real murderers row there.
They have to go to Texas A&M. They got UMass.
Come on, Frank Martin.
Well, they do have. So Oklahoma comes to. That'll be nice. Hey, that's the day that fans wear black when Oklahoma comes to Columbia.
Oh yeah, better.
I like the first day of deer hunting season when they have a half-empty stadium. November.
I didn't know that you.
It is in November. Yeah.
I didn't know you as a KU guy got triggered by Mizzou football. I thought it was just Mizzou basketball.
Oh, I didn't know they had a basketball program at Mizzou.
Thank you.
There it
Do I
is.
get a John Stockton assist there?
There it is. That was really good.
You just went Karl Malone there on the thing that I just loved.
That was a good
to you.
flush
Yep.
too. That was a good flush. Teamwork.
Pick and roll, Gary.
All
Pick
right.
and roll.
What? Is Anthony Peeler still there?
Oh, there you go.
He was good.
See, the thing about Mizzou basketball is you used to be able to rattle up, and a lot of it had to do with Nebraska was in the same league. You could just rattle off Mizzou player,
Mhm.
Melvin Booker,
They're
the
so
Doug
good.
Smith, the
Kim English.
Subratovich.
Yeah.
I mean, just on and on and on.
Paul.
And now that they're in the
Clemens.
SEC and they haven't been good outside, last year Dennis Gates had a nice year, but this year was You can't really name any Mizzou basketball player.
Yeah. Hearn Center was great.
The old one.
Yeah, the old one.
The new one is it's tough. It's
an
nice,
arena.
but it's too nice.
Yeah.
Almost for what they used to have. The Hearn Center was a special place, man.
Right down on you.
Needs to be a toilet, is what you're saying?
Hey, it was old. It was steep.
Oh.
Like the fans were right on top of you. If you were
Yeah.
doing a game there, you were scared. Look at Kent.
Look at the Antlers.
Yeah.
And the Antlers had a presence there. It was a tough place.
They didn't get canceled back then.
And you also
so-
had a coach that when Norm Stewart walked on the floor, he was probably worth, a couple of field goals.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
miss it.
hey, they've gone all in on football. Good on them. I mean, all
Yes.
in on football in a football conference. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
You can't say, hey, we're just going to take a beating here.
And good on them on the stadium, too.
There's no, like, I've always looked at Mizzou football, and you brought up Woody Woodenhofer. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Like, Tony Van Zandt could not save them.
What was the streak? Okay, so when Missouri almost beat Nebraska in 97, I know the Kansas streak was ungodly. It was what, the last time
36.
Kansas won it? Yeah. And the Missouri one was pretty damn lengthy too, wasn't it?
78, I believe.
Yeah. And I know that's not the tell-all, but I mean, that was a dumpster fire of a football program for a large amount of their time in the Big Eight.
Well,
And they
look at,
really
look at-
shouldn't.
I mean, look at some of the hires.
Yes.
So, then they went from Woody to Bob Stoll.
Was
Larry
Bob
Smith
the
came
Larry?
in.
Yeah.
Now, even
Got himself Corby Jones.
was
Larry
good.
Smith's season where, they almost upset Nebraska, they still only won 7 games.
Mhm.
Now, Corby Jones was a dude.
Yep. And Brock Olivo.
And they won.
Two
Then the
dudes.
next year they won 8 games, but they're playing in the same division as Nebraska. They shouldn't. I mean, they were at the bottom. They were near the bottom of the North back in the day, the North Division.
Mhm.
And then Pinkel came in and
Took a couple years, but they got it going.
well, yeah, they were like 7-8 wins. Okay, this is great. And then that 07 team,
Yeah.
they popped. They finally got a quarterback. That also helped at Mizzou.
Right.
And so they had the run where they won 12, they won 10. They took a step back in 09.
What's
They
up,
lost.
Sue?
They lost the division to Nebraska, and then in 2010, because weren't they? Nebraska and Mizzou finished in a tie, right?
Yes.
In 2010.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in 10, they were top 10 when Roy Halou
Yeah.
ran right up their butt. So
So they went for Corby Jones I know Brad Smith wasn't immediately after him,
Right.
but he was shortly after him. Then you go to Chase Daniel. And I know these were all Pinkel guys.
Gabbert.
And then,
Yo
and then
Gabba.
Blaine. My man.
They like their
But,
lanes.
who
they had some
Who
quarterbacks.
hasn't looked at Mizzou football? Even when they were getting their head beat in by Nebraska, I was like, how come they can't be better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come Mizzou football can't be better? They are located smack dab in the middle of a state that's got really good high school football.
Only D1 in the state.
To the left of Columbia, you got Kansas City. To the right, you have St. Louis.
Well, it
Okay,
just felt like
why-
that whole
why-
area got picked apart by Nebraska and even by Texas schools too, though.
I mean, what, you couldn't continue the eligibility of James Wilder?
Love it.
But I do
Love it.
I do miss Mizzou from this standpoint because back in the day, it was a bitter rivalry.
Yep.
I mean, whether they were trying to hurt guys like Turner Gill, but at the end of the Pinkel era in the Big 12, it took Bo being here because Pinkel hated Bo.
Yep.
He thought he was a joke. He said that to Mizzou media. He was like, we're always going to beat Nebraska because the guy that's running the program is an absolute, he said, a sideshow.
Yeah.
And he ran up the score in Bo's first year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why if you go back and you ever look at some of the post game of the big win against Mizzou in 10,
They were short.
like you look at Bo's, like Bo got more animated after a win than most of them.
He had some energy
because him and Pinkel hated each other.
Yep.
That was great for that rivalry.
Yes.
Because then it became nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sue destroys the Mizzou football program on a Thursday night on ESPN in a rainstorm, and the Mizzou people are livid that there's so many Nebraska people in their stadium. That rivalry was just about to pop.
And that was a Thursday night
and
game.
then they go to the SEC, and Nebraska goes to the Big Ten.
Yep. Yeah,
But hey, get play Rutgers every year.
They were legitimate Big 12 North rivals, is what they were. And yeah, it was interesting to see the evolution of the rivalry, where probably not enough people talk about. You went from Oklahoma, that'll always be considered Nebraska's number one rival, but then you had that time with Colorado, and you still get to see them on occasion, like you do last year and this year. But people don't mention Missouri enough. That was a legitimate Big 12 North rival before both teams went on to what you figured were greener pastures, because those games were. It was known between the two schools. You know, there were times that when Blaine Gabbert was just getting his lunch handed to him by Sue, that they were being dirty in the pile and they're twisting ankles and a lot of complaining. I know Blaine Gabbert was chirping a little bit. It's very similar to Chad May when he was at Kansas State about how the guys were rough on them. There was a lot of those moments that it went beyond just a important divisional game. Like there was legitimate hatred involved in those games.
Husker Country, yes. Turner Gill and Jarvis Redwine say Muck Missouri.
I have a Muck Mizzou shirt somewhere.
I figured you did.
As I got into that rivalry, man, they also got triggered by how Coach Osborne mentioned the state's name, Missouri. So this was a long-held belief, and I think it probably still is, that Coach Osborne was doing that intentionally.
It's a smart man.
Now, if you go to the Ozarks, there are people down there that will call it Missouri.
Right.
Yes,
Ruth Langmore says Missouri.
That's true. You get into northern Missouri, it's still Missouri.
But
working your way down south, it gets
game
Missouri.
Week, when he would talk about him, he would say that. And initially, I thought it was, is there a story behind it? That's just what we call Missouri. But the people there in Columbia
took it as a slight.
They took it as he's disrespectful to us.
Hey, Coach, it's Missouri.
This is why David Lawrence, who of course,
and then the people in Branch are like, I don't get the big deal.
Always,
he's saying it right. Missouri. He's saying it right. I don't get the big deal. The first time I ever went to Branson, that's when I noticed
only
it.
people in southern Missouri call it Missouri.
Right.
Like nobody in Kansas City goes, hey, you want to go to the Missouri game this weekend?
Do they know they called Missouri? In their head, are they saying Missouri? But it just comes out that way. And so when they hear someone say Missouri that's not from there, they're like, whoa.
You're looking at a guy that when I first heard him in a press conference, I thought T.O. was mispronouncing it. I'm like, that's not good.
Missouri.
Where's there an in there? I used to say that in the Weather Channel.
But there were some people in the media, because I remember overhearing this conversation, is they thought that Coach Osborne was disrespectful, that he was doing it intentionally. See,
T.O.'s like that.
That rivalry was popping, man. It was ready to explode. And then we went our separate ways, and we've never come back together.
Nope.
The Arrowhead idea is brilliant. Why not?
Split the stadium. They're the SEC. It's the Big Ten. Split the stadium in half. You don't think that would be a jacked up parking lot?
Oh, hell yeah.
Have my Muck Mizzou shirt, my Red Sox on. Another, if you know, you know. Yeah.
Red Sox on and what?
Red Sox. Red Sox were always worn for the Missouri game.
Okay.
Yes, it has symbolism.
Because you said if you know, you know. I don't know.
Yes, they don't like it. So in school,
because they hate Nebraska.
No. In Kansas would wear Red Sox for the Missouri game to symbolize blood of the Missouri ruffians and their untimely death at the hands of the Free Staters. So Mizzou would like it because here comes Kansas running out with Red Sox.
This is like Nick Grimm in the morning.
It is, but I like this. Yeah. This is great.
So that's why they would wear Red Sox. So when we would play them, fans would break out the Red Sox. So if Nebraska plays them, no problem wearing Red Sox. I'm a GBR all the way. Run the damn ball hat, everything.
Interesting. The more you know. I did not know that red.
Let's schedule that.
That red represented blood.
If Mac and Self can get Creighton and KU to play here next year, we can get Nebraska and Mizzou.
So Missouri has renewed. So they've just played Kansas State. So they did a home and home with K-State. They are playing a series with KU. They've gone back to playing basketball. But it is wild. I've asked this. Tom Chattel is going to join us tomorrow, and his daughter just graduated from there, and Tom's a Mizzou grad. And I said, of all the sports, Nebraska still plays KU. They play K-State. Okay,
which is great.
They'll periodically play Iowa State, but not as much. Had Oklahoma. We really don't do much with Oklahoma State, and of course the Texas schools. Missouri is like the only former Big 12 / Big 8 that has no interest in scheduling games in this area.
Yeah.
Whether it be
makes no sense either.
I mean,
for them or
it's a 5-hour drive to Columbia.
Right. And this is where my head's in baseball right now. I'm thinking of midweek opportunities where you don't have to spend an entire, day before the game of traveling to get there. You can go morning of if you really wanted to and play in a game.
Why don't you do a classic at Kaufman with them?
I mean, I would love to go back to Columbia where it's the worst.
Kansas.
It was the worst city to get in and out of because there's only one road. You leave the game and you're going to take forever sitting there on that loop before you ever get to the interstate, before you ever get to 70 to leave. It was awful in Columbia.
But gosh, dang it.
It's like driving
a lot of fun matchups there too. A lot of fun matchups. The baseball part of it bothers me the most because, you think of
Mizzou was good when I was in school. They had Strasburg.
Then they had Max Scherzer, and Strasburg was.
No, that was Strasburg.
He was a senior.
Thinking of Scherzer.
Who was the other guy that no hit Nebraska?
Aaron
Crow.
Yeah.
I
remember him.
Yeah, that's the thing that in football I feel like you could make happen, and you could even do you can play at the neutral site. You could do it at Arrowhead, which would be awesome. But in baseball, when you're always looking to freshen up the midweek slate, I was excited to see Nebraska got Kansas back on, other than just the occasional game that they would play at Kaufman, which they did a couple of years back.
They should all be playing.
I know. Unfortunately, Iowa State doesn't have baseball, but I mean, getting into some of those schools that you can make that bus trip, it's not a long travel. I think that's what you're always looking for too. I don't understand that with Missouri and Nebraska and why that has continued to be a thing. Because everybody else that was either current or former Big 12, Big 8 members, they've all kind of broken down those walls where they're like, all right, let's go. Let's do this again. Yeah. Enough time has passed. So Missouri hasn't.
So they added a 4-year home and home with Illinois that starts in 26. And they've added a home and home with Colorado.
Illinois and Missouri used to play a lot.
Yeah, bragging rights.
Yep. Well, they every year they play basketball in St. Louis. It's good. It's a great atmosphere. I mean, they split the arena there too.
Yeah.
They usually play right before Christmas. All right. I'm not sure what happened to Sip. Do we know?
No.
Let me text him. We'll adjust.
He's okay.
He's always
maybe he'll join us tomorrow, or maybe he'll join us Monday.
Maybe he'll be at Oscars today.
Only one way to find out.
Might be there.
Might be in Council Bluffs. You never know where you'll run into Sip.
Wow, there is. Chris says basically North Alabama, freaking Southern trash rednecks. Man, there's a lot of.
He called you a what?
No, I didn't call me this. This is about Missouri.
Charles on the stream.
This is about Southern Missouri. We're talking about how the further south you get, it goes into Missouri. He said basically North Alabama, freaking Southern trash rednecks. Man, Chris, come on, clean it up.
Charles says Kansas Jayhawkers, Missouri Bushwhackers, not to be confused with the famous Bushwhackers.
You mean the Ralston establishment?
No, I meant the Wrestlers.
Or the Wrestlers, okay.
You do some wrestling at the Ralston.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, the two worlds can collide there, which is fantastic. In fact, probably happens on a regular basis.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
The 420 sale continues at 42 degrees.
Say what?
You heard right. We've extended our 420 sale at 42 degrees, and we're taking the savings up to a new high. Right now, get mix and match, buy one, get one half off on all glass and premium flour. Savings up to 50% on premium Kratom, CBD, and Delta. Plus, up to 75% off on nicotine disposables. Don't miss the extended 420 sale at 42 degrees. Your dispensary for top-tier cannabis, second-to-none product selection, and exceptional service. 42 degrees. Buy your mom's house.
I've never seen this. John Deneen from Saul's Jewelry and Loan. I've never seen the price of gold as high as it is right now, which means you could be sitting on a gold mine yourself. Bring us in your broken gold chains, gold rings, and diamond jewelry. You'll never get a better price for those items. Saul's knows jewelry, and we've been around. And we've never seen gold this high. Sell your gold with confidence at Saul's Jewelry and Loan at any of our 6 convenient locations.
Find it all at Saul's Jewelry and Loan. Find it all at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make languages fun and engaging. You might even forget you're learning. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. Babbel teaches language skills you'll actually use, about travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are voiced by real native speakers, you'll get pronunciation just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Get Babbel. It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
My taco pie is really something special, and it can't be imitated. It starts with my zesty taco sauce, seasoned beef, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, mounds of cheddar, and mozzarella cheese. This pie is the real deal. For a limited time, build your own feast with the specialty pizza, like my taco pie, a 1-topping pizza, and cinnamon monkey bread. Do yourself a favor and order. Today, Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Every Mother's Day, I stress out trying to find that perfect gift. But this year, I finally found it. The Skylight Frame. The Skylight Frame is a touchscreen photo frame your whole family can upload photos to. Even if you're all spread across the country, Mom and Grandma can share your favorite moments. The Skylight Frame is simple to set up and use. In minutes, your family can email photos straight to your mom's Skylight Frame and surprise her with those special moments. And for that perfect Mother's Day unboxing, you can preload the Skylight Frame with your favorite photos from Mom, and it'll be ready when she unwraps her gift. It's the perfect way to touch her heart and bring you all together, wherever you are. It's the gift of connection. And now, as a special limited-time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/radio. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/radio. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightframe.com/radio.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, didn't take long to get a date. Creighton and KU, mark it down. December 4th will be the KU at Creighton game in the Big 12 Big East Challenge.
Yes.
It'll be the hottest ticket, maybe in the history of that building, for a Creighton men's basketball game. December 4th.
The Nick Baugh Classic.
Wednesday night, tip-off at 9:30. No, they didn't have a tip-off.
So if I'm just doing the math in my head, the Nebraska game is not going to move off that Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll have Nebraska and Creighton.
23rd.
And then they go to the Battle of Atlantis. So that tournament is
Thanksgiving weekend.
Was it 27th, 28th, 29th? Yeah. So it must be then when they come back, that'll be the next game, will be the KU game. That'd be an interesting stretch for Creighton if that's the case, because I don't think they would. Well, between Nebraska and the Battle of Atlantis, they're not going to slip in a game. I doubt coming back from the Battle for Atlantis, they're going to slip in a game before KU. So that'll be an interesting end of November, early December stretch.
And
then
Kansas
they'll probably
and Maui?
like two weeks later go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama.
Have they announced the Maui field yet? I don't know if Kansas is usually in that. Just trying to think about Kansas.
I assume they're going somewhere tropical.
Yeah, I do.
I just know
They're a draw.
Colorado's it.
Going to play a neutral site game in Wichita?
Yeah. Actually, they're supposed to play the Shockers, so I maybe.
Very convenient now that Wichita State isn't half the team it was under Greg Marshall.
And now that Greg with 8 G's isn't there.
Isn't that convenient?
No, just
win the clock.
Just a guy named Paul that has an L on the end of his name.
That's right. Former Oral Roberts guy.
He is a good coach.
It had a transition year this year. That'd be the best way to describe it. All right, last hour upcoming. Brian Edwards has got some prop picks for tonight's draft. He'll make a lot of New York Giant fans happy with what he's thinking. As the NFL draft is tonight. We have been alerted that there are Missouri fans that have jumped into the show today.
Oh, it's like the old days.
Hey, I gave you love,
it.
man. I like Eli. I am drinking all of that.
See what you did there.
Listen,
he could have his own drink.
2 years ago, he was on the hot seat. They are an 11-win team that is preseason top 10, and they are recruiting nonstop.
Yeah, the dude can get dudes.
Man,
No denying that.
He tried to. I just think they tried to get Fedoni, so he went to a basketball game, and so it was Todd Monken from Georgia, Harbaugh was there, and Eli Drinkwitz, and nobody paid attention to Eli.
No, because it was Harbaugh. I mean, everybody was like, "Hey,
Fedoni's playing basketball, and they're trying to recruit him." They're just like Fleck.
He's in the background. Hello.
Just like Fleck, and Drinkwitz has, like Fleck so desperately wants a Nebraska kid, and especially an Omaha kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like wants an Omaha kid so bad on his roster, and he recruits here, and he has not, it's going to not come to fruition. He got Avante to verbally commit, but he is like Drinkwitz. Like he's like, yeah, we'll go and get Nebraska kids.
Look at him go.
Ooh, Rob says KU has not been here since 1951. Man, wonder what it sounded like on the zone that night.
What was the shoot? No, that was probably back in the day when it was Magic 590.
Static. That sounds like at my house when I go home.
The old WW radio. Creighton basketball.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. The on-ramp to JFK northbound from 370 has reopened from that earlier accident. There may still be some delays temporarily in this area, but all lanes and the on-ramp have reopened. Slower traffic Dodge east and westbound has cleared up for the most part, and no new accidents or obstructions to report. Roads looking pretty good. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
We've got a reminder for Nebraska Pick 5 fans. The jackpot grows by $10,000 each time it's not won. Plus, the prize for matching 4 numbers has gone up from $450 to $500. Nebraska Pick 5 top prize odds 1 in 658,000.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
When it comes to concrete repair, EverLevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose EverLevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with EverLevel is a slam dunk. Call EverLevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now, get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members. FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The most wonderful time of the year is upon us again. No, not Christmas. Oyster Fest at Shuck's Fish House. This Wednesday and Thursday, get $8 a dozen East Point oysters plus many other specials. All 3 locations. Find out more at shucksfishhouse.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Well, let me tell you what's happening. What's happening at noon today? We're going up. All right? It's a Thursday. Special plays, special players, special teams. I just completely botched that, but you know what I'm talking about. We'll be at Oscars at noon today. Well, the station will be out there from 10 to 6 at 173rd and Center. The great folks out there that have been wonderful to this radio station. We have a great partnership. We love being out there. They happen to take a lot of my beer money, but that's okay. That's okay.
I take a lot of our wing and pizza money, but it's also okay.
We will be out there with a roundtable coming up at noon to talk some spring football.
At an award-winning establishment.
Literally.
That's true.
Yep.
So the KU Creighton game will be on the back end of a UConn-Baylor game. So UConn-Baylor is on the same day, December 4th. I imagine both those games will be a doubleheader on Big Fox.
I would.
Gus and Raftery will be here.
Yeah.
Only time they get Kansas on Fox. That's a big deal. It's like having the Lakers on.
Yep.
When they were the Lakers.
Late night crowd on that Wednesday night.
Lubed up.
Oh, yeah.
Does Gus do college basketball before the college football season ends?
That's a good question.
Actually, that weekend will be the
conference championship game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
would Gus
don't know if he does. I don't think he does.
Be
actually,
a Kugler special.
Could be.
I mean, Rafter will be here. That's how do you not go to Creighton, Kansas? That's even if you don't like either team. That's
Creighton,
a great
Kansas
game.
is bigger than UConn, Baylor.
Oh yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
they can have their Magnolia.
So the portal, we're in portal combat season. It is open. So if you play in the dirt, you get dirty. That was a line that was shared with me yesterday in the NIL world. If you play in the dirt, you get dirty. But portal combat season is open, and
sounds so scuzzy.
Colorado, which is treating their program like NFL free agency. Dylan Edwards officially in the portal. They're starting running back, 744 all-purpose yards, and many teams have reached out to him.
Buy him $18.90
on 3.com said that favorites are KU, K-State, Texas A&M, and Nebraska.
He won't go to KU.
May not go to Kansas State, even though that's the connection there, because of what they have or what they're pursuing. Now, if Dylan Edwards is available, and this goes for Nebraska as well, you go, let's check here because he's a very talented running back.
How many
now,
combos do you want?
But here's the thing: he's gonna command a price.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, let's say, a school like Nebraska, which they have a robust NIL, but maybe they don't tap into it as much because it starts at the top of the head coach. It can't be Matt Davidson going, "Hey, Dylan, this is Matt. I used to play at Nebraska. I got some money. Hey," and then he calls up Rule and goes, "Hey, you got a running back, Dylan Edwards. I just got him.
Yeah, I got him for you.
So
you wanted him, right?
So it has to start at the top. So he's going to command some money, but he is good. And you know what the discussion around Nebraska's running back room is? I think that if he commands a high price, Nebraska taps out because they will look at what would this do in the locker room?
Mm-hmm.
A late addition, regardless of how good he is, what does that do in my locker room?
Which is fair.
Which I don't think Rule says out loud much. I think he starts saying that as, hey, man, the reality of the world is people have a bag and people know what each other's bag is. And we got to be careful of this guy gets more, he's a priority and this and that. We got to handle it the right way. And I'm not saying Dylan Edwards would disrupt your locker room, but I'm thinking if it's the NIL and you have to battle with people, I think Nebraska taps out.
Yeah, it's the optics of it. And that's where this time of the year in the portal being open compared to when you go back to December and that open period, it's a lot different because now you've had teams in Nebraska who's wrapping it up on Saturday, teams that have gone through spring together feel like for the most part they have their roster intact, and then you get that late addition and all of a sudden there's a price tag attached to that. That's where the coach's initial fear of how that will maybe disrupt the locker room. I think it is those types of scenarios. And Matt Rule's he's not foolish. And we've mentioned this a lot with Matt Rule. It's seemingly in a perfect world for Matt Rule, he would love to get you then retain and reward.
Reward and retain.
Absolutely.
But I think Nebraska's going to get involved here to see how far down the road they get.
Kick the tires.
Because here's the thing about the running back room. And I did have to explain somebody what Wally Pipp was yesterday. As I said, I think Emmett Johnson is Wally Pipp, the running back.
How old was the person?
32.
Oh, so it's right. I think right off that.
You're gonna have to explain Wally
right
Pipp
on that cutoff there. I think.
Has there been, and maybe this is a topic that Connor Happer is the mediator or the moderator, excuse me, could they be both? Of the roundtable may pose players that the narrative or general feel process have changed since the beginning of spring, of what you've heard, some of you may have seen, that you were high on back in February, and it's now 2 days before the spring game, and you're like, there's one guy in that running back room.
Dante Dowdell?
Yeah. I mean, you get him from Oregon, and you're like, okay, now he's going to get to play here. He's not behind some guys that are a little bit longer in the tooth than him.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to take off. And he gets here, and he doesn't know how to play all the aspects of running back. Before spring, man, that guy's a dude. That guy's a game changer.
Your lead back.
I felt the same way. And then you realize that, we got some work to do to teach you how to play running back. I can't think of another player where the general vibe, and he may end up still being running back one, but spring hasn't been that smooth of an opinion that's changed on a player more than Dowdell from February to 2 days before the spring game. You think anybody else?
No, I think that's the top of the list right there, because if you were to take inventory with the fan base before spring started and you said, okay, list the players you're most excited to see in the spring game, obviously they would have started with Dylan Raiola. I think there's a lot of people that probably at second would have said Dante Dowdell, knowing how important that position is, and going back to our conversation of his significance, what he projected to be, that regardless of what you would hear in spring, he would be probably, well, let's put it this way, he'd be in your top 5 of the guys that I really want to see in spring ball. Now, when we've talked to other people that are following the team, but also when you engage with fans, they don't mention him that much just because his name hasn't been mentioned a whole heck of a lot. So I would think that one more than anybody, the narrative has changed. And then in a positive way, I would say And this probably what is being said about Danny Kaelin doesn't surprise a lot of people like yourself who've seen him play, that know what he's about and know what he was up against last year with not having a lot of protection. But I feel like people are even more encouraged of Danny Kaelin, and I think more of it was just because of how excited people were for Dylan Raiola. And that's not to say Danny Kaelin's going to be the starting quarterback, but just the progress that he has made and the impression that he's given in spring too, where I think a lot of people are excited to see him spin it a little bit on Saturday as well.
Here is John on the 42 Degree The Source hotline. Good morning, John.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I was just listening here on the Husker football talk and, Portal Combat, which is funny because I'm just like playing all these finishing moves in my head from growing up.
Finish him. Raiden had a good one. Raiden's was really good.
There's some great ones. There's some really brutal, gruesome ones, too.
That's true.
So on this running back from Colorado, though, and I think you guys make a ton of great points, even like on rules philosophy, and, they brought some guys in already. But from that guy's perspective, how many of these other teams that he's thinking about going to have Colorado on the schedule for this upcoming season? So I wonder how much of a factor that could be for him to kind of be like, get back at him. Because I think he was the same guy that maybe you guys played on the station, some comments from him, about Dion and the whole culture over there. So I'd be interested to see if like that's maybe a motivating factor for him and saying like, maybe I won't take as much money at Kansas and I'll come to Nebraska, but I can get some revenge. So just a thought.
Oh, John, thanks for the phone call.
It's a good question. And I could see that working in different ways. I could see that, I want to avoid that whole circus of what it would be of me playing my old team. I hope one game on the schedule, though, wouldn't ultimately dictate where you go. I think that is an interesting, if you feel some schools are even when it comes to your overall interest and the overall fit, and there needs to be something that pushes you over the edge, I could see that working both ways. I could see and I get a chance to show up against Colorado and my old guys, or I don't want to deal with that. I don't know Dylan Edwards well enough to say, oh yeah, he's got a lot of piss and vinegar. He'd want to stick it to his old team as opposed to, I just would rather avoid that circus of what we know that will always be, especially if you've got one of your more impressive running backs from that recruiting class a year ago, and now they get Colorado in Lincoln. That would be a major, major storyline on top of the many storylines that I think we all anticipate for that Saturday, hopefully Saturday night game.
Whether Emmett Johnson continues to be RB1 and he's going to play, they need to find a way to move Dowdell along because their investment in him, and I'm not talking NIL, because they don't have many scholarship running backs. They have 5 scholarship running backs, and 2 of them can't stay healthy, and the other is a redshirt freshman that I don't know what's going to happen with Ives. They also, last check, I just looked up Brian Munson's list. I don't think Nebraska has any running backs visiting this weekend. They need Dowdell to pop big time. So with that said, I mean, you are, the guy that started, what did he start, 5-6 games last year at Colorado? What did he do?
Yeah. I think it wasn't the entire season, but we saw him, especially early on in the TCU game. Had some really good moments in that one too, right out of the gate. So yeah, he's got enough experience. He's got enough film that you can look at and say, okay, there's a guy that addressing needs, a guy that can obviously elevate your running back room. I don't think there's any hesitation in thinking that whatsoever.
So they need bodies, they need talented people, but they don't want to disrupt that room. But you are on the upper end. Ramiro be finally done after 6 years. Gabe Irvin, I don't know what's going to happen there. But I'm glad that they're a player. I'm glad they reached out. Now we'll see how far it gets. Because Nebraska's not unfamiliar to him. But you remember, he also committed to Notre Dame. And then how he ended up at Colorado, Deion Sanders, he played for Prime as a youth football player in the Dallas area. And so they had a little bit of a connection still. And then he flipped to Colorado. That was kind of at the last moment. Wasn't K-State, Jimmy, deep into Dylan Edwards because of the legacy?
Yes.
And then he committed to Notre Dame.
And
then maybe
Avery
Kansas State.
friends.
And then Kansas State was going to get back involved. And the next thing you know, Dion gets him to come to Colorado
And
when
they're-
Dion shows up.
Their NIL at K-State isn't as robust, but they can make it available if need be for an Avery. But I just don't see them being able to match whatever Dylan's going to commit. So if you have, like you said, some people, and Rule's an example, might be like, well, I don't want this being divisive in the locker room. So it's like, what do you do? But he's a dude.
By the way, if you're playing fantasy spring game football, which I am, Maurice Mazuka is a guy I'm going to select out of the running back room because he may play on both teams and may play 4 quarters.
Oh, some big points there. You can earn a lot of fantasy points
So
there.
there is your
smart.
Jay Clemens fantasy spring game football tip. Brian Edwards has got tips. He's coming up here in just a moment. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
I cannot believe you didn't want to watch Hook. What a classic
I've never
movie.
seen Hook either.
Yeah, but Nick, you're 5. John was alive in the mid-90s. I didn't see every single movie. You didn't see anything. You're a big dumb idiot. I'm working at the gas station again, watching the 94 Orange Bowl. Watch some damn movies, John. I've seen and listen to Nirvana. Hell yeah.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Cloudy, mild, and breezy for your Thursday with a 30% chance of spotty showers and thunderstorms, especially into the afternoon. Chance of storms overnight with the potential for strong to severe storms. A low of 55, becoming windy with southeasterly gusts up to 35 miles an hour. 75 your high on Friday. A chance of storms in the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
I'm just so gross that my immune system is pretty great. I'll eat something off the ground, 5-second rule, 5-month rule. I don't care. Sometimes I get jealous of my Roomba, to be honest with you. I was going to get that.
Nikki Glazer, The Good Girl Tour, April 28th, Steelhouse. Tickets on sale now at steelhouseomaha.com. Don't miss the hilarious Nikki Glazer live.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. Changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $35.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at HIMS, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known, but what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
They may have been away from each other for a while since one went to the SEC and the Big Ten. But the Mizzou hate on the program is still alive from y'all out there.
Yeah, any emails?
Trent says, who is a Mizzou guy, said, took my 10-year-old to the Cotton Bowl. Incredible. True contender. Draft this weekend will be full of Mizzou dudes.
They have dudes.
Touche.
They won the game. Can't apologize for that.
And then to counterbalance, would you like to read an email we got on the discussion about Mizzou football?
John, who emails me fairly often. Thank you, John. You can't properly pronounce Missouri when you are missing teeth. You breathe through your mouth, and your parents are first cousins.
Just one time. Split Arrowhead in half.
Let's make it happen. Rule can make it happen.
A lot of reference to the dental work of Missouri fans, too, that I'm noticing. It's kind of a common theme right now.
Well, meth has an effect on one's mouth and teeth, as Walt and Jesse taught us.
I don't even remember this type of angst when we saw the old Iowa game.
That's because in the Big 8 there was hate. In
The
the Big 12 there was disdain.
Yeah, you're right.
There are characters. Drinkwitz is from a different time. He's Norm Stewart. He's Billy Tubbs.
Hey, so there's some disdain out on the streets of Omaha about Fred Hoiberg and his in-state recruiting. Frankie Fiddler goes to Michigan State. William Kyle III goes to UCLA. Checky Hepburn to Louisville. So only one of those, I think, was reciprocal. Well, let me put it this way. Man, we got a shot here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, with William Kyle.
Yeah. So he goes to UCLA. And so on the street, once again, the Nebraska men's basketball program is being crushed on that they can't recruit Omaha. Now, I will tell you this. There have been missteps along the way. I mean, Tim was not good of recruiting Omaha, and then a rope just burned the bridge and the whole town burned down in terms of attention towards Nebraska and sending prospects there. Fred has come in, and over the last 2 years, I give him credit for this. Him and Nate Lesnar have recruited this area really well, and they've recruited it smartly. But they're outside of Bynum, there has not been a Big Ten prospect. Look at Chucky and WK3 were not recruited by Power 6 schools out of high school. So it wasn't like, Nebraska missed on them originally. But they are recruiting Amari Bynum, and they're very aggressive. And again, in the last 2 years, I think Nebraska's done a better job in this town. But kids in this town, if they're going to stay in state, they're going downtown.
Yeah.
They know they're going to go to the NCAA tournament. They know they're going to play high-profile games. It can't be just, hey, we won 23 last year, went to the NCAA tournament. You're going to have to build that back. But they've started to be seen more, so they've worked hard in the last 2 years. But how about if you were telling me, and again, Fred was in home. Fred worked hard on WK3. I mean, he did everything right, except for it wasn't UCLA. Yeah. And probably the finances. UCLA got very aggressive. They wanted a guy. They, made They got him, and WK3 is going to be happy, and that's the most important thing where he is. But it's not like Nebraska dropped the ball. I mean, Fred was in home. They worked it hard to get his commitment because they wanted him. So they're getting knocked. How about Fred's pivot of, you people think I can't recruit Omaha? Well, you're out there playing checkers. I'm playing chess. How about the move? And it's not a Fred Hoiberg move, but you're going to see what I'm getting at with Derek Walker. And Derek Walker and Amari Bynum, who will not be at Omaha Bryan, who is going to be at Link Academy, a prep school.
I didn't know about this. No.
So Derek Walker, who's from Kansas City, when he was playing basketball before he went to Tennessee and then Nebraska, he was with Mocan Elite. Derek Walker is coaching back in Kansas City, and it's one of the more well-known AAU programs. The Mocan Elite team, guess who's playing with Mocan Elite again this summer?
Who? Bynum?
Amari Bynum.
Wow.
So there you go. Fred's like,
getting some alums involved.
Hey, you may not like me being in home and you respond that way, but I'm going to try the next thing, and that is have a guy who loves Nebraska basketball. D-Walk loves Nebraska basketball, happens to be back at a place where he's coaching. And, oh, by the way, a Nebraska recruit, is playing there. So if Nebraska doesn't get Amari Bynum, blame it on Derek Walker.
You got to blame somebody else.
But I'm here to tell you, they're recruiting better. They're smarter is probably the way. I'm not going to say better because they haven't really anybody. Yeah. They're recruiting smarter in Omaha, and they're more visible than they have been really in probably Fred's first 3 years. It just, they lost a guy they wanted, and now you pivot and you move on to the next one.
Yeah, that was I think the feeling last night was, okay, that sucks, but who's next? Who else are you looking at? Who else could potentially make their way over? And I know there's the Northern Illinois. I guess you'd consider him about 6'8", but seems, and maybe you have better intel on this one than I do. It seems like a guy that's a little bit more kind of like rink masked, is more of a stretch guy than what would be a lane clogger. But that's, for me personally, if I can see that the effort's there and you're just going to lose out on some guys, that's just going to happen. But if the effort's there, you've done everything you can to get the guy, and you still at the end of the day, you don't get him, but you do have a plan in place to address it, knowing full well that nothing's 100%, and you can pivot from that. That's all you can ask for right now. I mean, that's the thing where we're not surprised when anything happens, even when it seems that all the momentum is carrying this person to a certain school. Then they make that decision. It doesn't go your way. How are you able to recover, respond, and obviously address a major need with that lineup right now when it comes to finding a Big Ten, a legitimate Big Ten big that Nebraska needs? That's the question. And so, I'm fine with the efforts, and that's the thing. And I remember when Tim Miles was here, you just didn't hear a lot about the plan that they were when recruiting the Metro, recruiting the state. And so if you're getting that effort, if you have the better plan, like you said, bet smarter. If you're doing that smarter, eventually you're going to get those guys, and then you hope there can be a domino effect in years to come.
Yep. And they're going to go through a little bit of a stretch here where there's no bona fide power 6 guy that's in Omaha. So, but it'll be interesting. You're going to spend the whole summer with Derek Walker. Good for D-Walk, because I think that's what he would like to get into is coaching.
Greasel involved somehow too?
No, I think Sam was back. I don't know if Sam has gone back overseas to play again. They have weird seasons over in Europe.
I couldn't even tell you when they start, what it ends compared to where you are right now. He's probably playing. I think there's basketball going on right now.
All right. Brian Edwards is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your #1 investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Shop Lanahaw Nurseries for the highest quality bulk mulch. Buy your mulch straight from where it's made. Convenient pickup or free local delivery of 5 yards or more. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center. Spring has arrived, and Lanahaw has everything you need to revitalize your landscape. The best shrubs, perennials, and freshly dug trees, all grown right here in Nebraska. Lanahaw Nurseries, your homegrown headquarters since 1974.
Every Mother's Day, I stress out trying to find that perfect gift. But this year, I finally found it. The Skylight Frame. The Skylight Frame is a touchscreen photo frame your whole family can upload photos to. Even if you're all spread across the country, Mom and Grandma can share your favorite moments. The Skylight Frame is simple to set up and use. In minutes, your family can email photos straight to your mom's Skylight Frame and surprise her with those special moments. And for that perfect Mother's Day unboxing, you can preload the Skylight Frame with your favorite photos for Mom, and it'll be ready when she unwraps her gift. It's the perfect way to touch her heart and bring you all together, wherever you are. It's the gift of connection. And now, as a special limited-time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/radio. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/radio. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightframe.com/radio.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Join the VIP club. Sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know all exciting content that's happening on 1620 The Zone, including sports, news, contests, promotions, and more. Sign up at 1620thezone.com.
All right, let's welcome in our senior handicapper from Vegas Insider. It is the Brian Edwards on the beginning of some people's favorite 3 days of the NFL. It's NFL Draft Day. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Good morning.
Hey, let's start on the back end here, and let's talk about the draft, because one of your plays tonight is a player prop on where they're going to go, and it involves J.J. McCarthy, who is being discussed all over the map right now. Like, I have a Giants fan, Brian, that is very nervous that the Giants are going to take him at 6 or move up so they could get J.J. McCarthy. He's not happy. I think he is around when Minnesota picks at 11. If that's the case, then this plays right into how you're feeling on J.J. McCarthy over 5.5 picks.
Correct. So I'm going over 5.5. I got a plus 125 return. So, basically I'm just saying he's not going to go in the top 5. Now, for anyone tailing, I got to warn them, you can have your handicap correct. You can be 100% right that, he shouldn't go wherever, whoever, whatever player it is. All it takes is one general manager to disagree with you. You can be proven right in the short run, the long run, but all that matters on winning the bet or not is what decisions GMs make tonight. So, I just don't think he's a top 5 guy. I don't think he should be a top 10 pick. And so I'm just going with it. Again, McCarthy over 5.5. So it may happen, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, what's your read on as now we can gamble on the draft? But man, like who's telling the truth? Because there have been for pick 2 and 3 some wild changes in odds over the last 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah, I mean these odds they change radically in the weeks, and some books have it up like a month ahead or more. And all it takes is like a tweet from Schefter or Ian Rappaport, and the odds can go from -200 to +200. So it's a very fluid market, and you don't know who's giving out false info or what necessarily what's accurate. But it is what it is, and I just don't think McCarthy's going in the top 5.
NBA, taking a look at the slate, Sixers and Knicks, as that one shifts over to Philly as the Sixers are a 5-point favorite. Do we like the Sixers to get back in the series?
I do. When Joel Embiid has been healthy this year at home, they're 20-5 straight up and 18-7 against the spread. Tough one the other day. The NBA or whatever they call it, their 2-minute review or whatnot on the referees.
Last 2-minute report.
They got hosed. Not that being pissed off necessarily translates to success, but I think we get a highly motivated Sixers team in desperation mode tonight, and I think they take care of business.
All right, so let's shift to the game a series that not a lot of people have paid attention to, but Orlando's in a major hole. They're down 2-0. Cavaliers have been great defensively, but this will be a desperate Orlando team. They've got an energetic fan base. I think they at least squeeze one out. They're a slight favorite at home. Walk us through how you're going to play tonight's game between Orlando and Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Magic, -2 at home. So best against the spread team in the league this year, 51-33 ATS at home, 29-12 straight up, 27-13 against the spread, whereas the Cavs on the road just 22-19 straight up, 19-22 ATS. The Magic don't basically have no postseason experience, so not a shocker, that they failed to cover and lose the first 2 in Cleveland. But like you said, kind of desperate here. They've been very good at home. I think the crowd will be into it. I think this is the one they get, but then I think Cleveland probably wins the next 2 and advances in 5 games. But I like the Magic -2 tonight.
Mavs Clips reserved tomorrow with that series shifting over to Dallas. 210.5. Does that seem low to you with the over/under?
Well, since the game 1 was 222, and it's shifted by more than double digits in two results. Yeah, but I'm still going to take it. The under 9-1 in the last 10 head-to-head meetings between these teams. Game 1, 109-97, 206 combined. Game 2, 96-93, 189 combined. Kawhi obviously out for a long time. Kind of feeling his way back into it. Doesn't hurt our cause that Tim Hardaway Jr. is dealing with an ankle, averages 14.4 points per game. He's questionable. I think he'll probably play, but might not be 100%. Yeah, I'm going to go under 210.5, despite the major adjustment in the numbers.
Hey, let's talk some UFC with the card on Saturday night. Young guy, Dennis is off to a 6-0 start. Now he's got Austin Lane. I'm intrigued by this. What intrigues you about this matchup?
Yeah, I don't. You might be pronouncing it right. I'm not sure. Dennis, whatever it is. But look, I was only studying him on paper a couple couple of his highlight clips on Twitter. He has fought 6 times, 6 first-round knockouts. Austin Lane is coming off, being knocked out in the first round. I'm going to go with Denise, whatever it is, to win in round 1, minus 125 versus Austin Lane.
Hey, you're going to make some fans around here happy because he is known in this community, even though he lives in Kansas City, the silent assassin. So Onama is fighting Pierce. How do you like this one in the matchup of the 2 featherweight guys?
I like Onama. He's a huge featherweight, really tall. I had him in the Jacksonville card with Emmett and Pretoria headlining last summer that I went to. And he cashed a nice ticket for me with a second-round knockout. He's got an 100% finish rate, 11-2 career record, 10 of 11 finishes inside of 2 rounds. Going against Jonathan Pierce is off a submission loss. I'll go with Onama plus 145.
Hey, any concern? He hasn't fought in a long time. I know that.
Onama?
Yeah.
Yeah. Last summer. I'm not sure if he's been dealing with injury or what, but I mean, I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing. He was, and look, he had the loss to Nate the Train. That was a big time battle. The fight before that. But man, he's got power. He's gonna have a huge height advantage. And I like Onama.
Hey, what do you want your Falcons to do at 8?
I want Dallas Turner, but I would be perfectly fine if they trade down and go all the Notre Dame offensive tackle were to fall. I wouldn't be mad if we did that. But I think it's trade down or go with Dallas Turner is what I would like.
Yeah, man, you guys have needed help off the edge. He would be perfect in that system. B, thanks. Enjoy a busy sports weekend. We'll talk to you next week, and as we'll get closer and we'll start talking about some win totals in college football.
Sounds great, fellas. Y'all have a great weekend.
That's Brian Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at Vegas B Edwards. We will see all of you at noon. Stop out. The Connor Happer Show is going to come your way here in a little bit. 10 to 6. Connor Happer Show, USC, are live out at Oscars. Nick, myself, Jimmy, will all be out there at noon for a roundtable. Good discussion on what to expect to see coming up on Saturday.
A lot of Dylan conversation, I assume.
Yeah.
It should be.
It's okay to talk about him.
It is.
So not back away from talking about it.
Let's get all in. Let's get nuts.
Fun show, everybody. We'll talk tomorrow. Good luck to everybody when the draft. I mean, Sonny Weaver, man, he just couldn't quit it.
Got to channel your inner Sonny Weaver.
We'll respond coming up tomorrow. We'll see you at noon. We'll be back in studio tomorrow at 6 on 1620 The Zone.